did I see? What did I see? Then you sing it. What did I see? Then you swing it. That funny old tune will drive me to ruin. It came along and made me a slave. Now I'm craving things that I should crave. It came along and made me a slave. Now I'm craving things that I should crave. What
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Chud Watch. I hope you're all doing well today on this Thursday evening. X Flowers for Brains wanted me to time someone else out for channel points. Was there a specific person or any criteria under which you'd like me to do that, or just random? Captain Rose says, I took a shit so horrifyingly heavy I feel lighter afterwards and can jump half a foot higher. Well, that's impressive. Shady Shroomy says, I have this video from a gamer bro, Chud. There's so much wrong in this video. Let me take a look. Hydrate. I'll do that in a sec. IGN condemns IGN over recent pro-Palestine article. Oh, Lord. Mike Mack says, funny how the right doesn't want to investigate the attacks on the campaign, or on the captain, yet they blame it on BLM and Antifa, and how is the audit going? Man, this is a good carnival. Man, a carnival was next door. The right can fit it really well and be themselves as clowns. I swear, you guys type drunk half the time. Good for you, Vulcan Princess. I'm glad you're getting your first shot this week. You know, the hair thing is utilitarian. It's incredibly hot here, and I'm already sweating through my makeup. So, gotta put my hair up. I don't actually like it up very much. But, I'm sweating, so we gotta do what we gotta do here, you know? Pickled Alien with 100 bits says, UPS keeps changing when my new camera comes, but I get to see your stream live for the first time, so things are looking up. Well, welcome. Thank you. Michigan is humid today, I know. So let's see what we're taking a look at today. Tim Pool, once again stoking weird Civil War stuff with his coverage of Oregon counties voting to secede, and also Texans voting to secede. We have a couple videos from Sticks and Hammer, because we haven't checked him out in a while. One about why he thinks Trump should run in 2024, and one that's just 5 things that piss him off. I don't even know if that one's political, or if it's just like, oh, I hate hats. I don't know what you would find a pet peeve to be, but you get it. Nick says, it's the hot air from all the chuds, also missed bits. Whoopsie, let me see if I can go back and find them. Conservatives are allergic to evidence. Oh, I gotta do the hydrate, too. Let's see how well this lipstick holds up, shall we? Oh, bad. Real bad. Did I see Dave Filoni is now officially an executive creative director? Like he's the Kevin Feige? I didn't see that. That's good, though. I think, didn't he do the Clone Wars? And people like that, so. I haven't seen the Clone Wars, but I watched a couple episodes of that new Bad Batch show, which is like a semi-follow-up to that, because it's got some of the same characters or something, and it takes place directly after the Clone Wars. But, hold on. Who do you want me to time out? Junch? Well, that person got deleted anyway. Did I see Demi Lovato is non-binary? I heard about it vaguely. Nick says, the only good thing North Korea ever did was beat Italy in the 1966 World Cup. Was that another one of the tankies who's, like, defending North Korea and stuff? Great. Oh, so I was telling you guys what we're gonna watch. Bryson Gray has a new video thing, new stream, that's what it is, because he does those streams now where it's a call-in show. Well, maybe check that out. Terrence Popp has some new stuff. Tate Speech has a new video. Liberty Hangout's mad at the military. The Quartering has a new video about Brie Larson. Heels vs. Babyface is mad at a new Superman cartoon that's coming out because a single image has been released. And boy, is he mad about that image. Junche is a tanky, so deserved it, probably. Do I have AC? You bet I don't. If I did, the window wouldn't be open. I'd be running the AC. I actually do have a window unit for this room specifically. It's just not installed right now. So, yeah. One second. I'm just running all sorts of behind today. I'm like out of sorts. I'm doing my best for you guys. Captain Rose says, I'm still gonna remove Jake's What? Why? I'm not gonna read that. Why? Pyromancer says, getting a standard AC is one of the best things I've done. Yeah. I bet it's nice. Ted Cruz is extra big dumb. Oh yeah, the Russian military thing. He's like, yeah, look at this Russian military propaganda. Don't you wish the United States was like this? No, Ted. No, we don't. You sick weirdo. What's this, a PragerU video? Did someone send this to me, or did I open this on my own? I don't remember opening this, so someone must have sent this to me and I don't remember opening it. Clockwork Van, thanks for gifting 2 Tier 1 subs to the community. I appreciate that. Frosting and sprinkles don't go with corn. That's true. God, I just wish it would be cooler. I'm so over warm weather already. The humidity doesn't work with me. Bardlock Moses says, as someone that lives in Florida, hearing about people without AC is strange to me. Yeah. You know what I find strange when I go to Florida and someone has a fireplace? Because I've seen that a couple times. It's like, what's that for? Hydrate. Okay. I'm cool enough already. That's sweet. Oh, this lipstick's running all over the place already, especially because of the heat. Might have to take that off sometime in the middle of the stream. Pyromancer says, I'd prefer 70 degree year round. I'd go 65. I'm a bitch, so 65 is my range. Captain Rose says, frosting and sprinkles don't go with corn. Ever made Yankee cornbread? I haven't. I've had normal cornbread. There's cornbread that people put frosting on. Let me look this up. Oh, is it just cornbread that they just put, like, sugar in or something? Yeah, more sugar or something? One Speedy Yoshi says, Hannah, just got my tooth filled and got the laughing gas. Had you and Jake talking about Dave Rubin on in the background. It was a 10 out of 10. I loved it. Put on a 23-minute video that suddenly it was over. Just hearing you talk about trans stuff in the economy under laughing gas was fun. That's my endorsement. This show is always better if you're high. I know, we do need to install AC, Mr. Blast. It's melting my makeup. Bardlock Moses says, the 1 week it's below 50. I wish it was below 50 right now. Captain Rose says, Yankee cornbread is cornbread made with sugar. See, I like that cornbread's kind of like savory, so I feel like it would be weird. Nick says, 50 Fahrenheit is the ideal temperature. Fight me. I'd go a little higher than that, but I could enjoy that. A little refreshing, you know? Fairly CC with 100 bits, and now we have a hype train says, hello, all job hunting update. I have one now. Unfortunately, the hours mean I won't be able to catch most live streams, so I'm going to soak you all in while I can. Oh, well, I'm glad you got a job, and we all understand. We hope your new opportunity works out for you. One Speedy Yoshi says, how can global warming be real when it's cold? Explain, Hannah, explain. 74Quid74 says, Hannah doesn't have AC, I'm shook. So, okay, here's what happened. So I bought, like, 3 or 4 years ago at this point, I bought this house. And it's a great house, and I love this house. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab a soda, and then we can continue this. Do the hype train stuff. Pyromancer with 100 bits says, hype bit. Okay, sorry about that. Let me do these bits messages and I'll continue with that story. Puka the Duka says, soda getting bits. Thank you. Wing the Ultimate Nug with 20 says, you must be so rich to afford a house in this generational economy. I've been fairly fortunate. Andrew Vitello with 20 bits says, I don't think, plus I live in an area of the country with really, really cheap real estate prices relatively, so. Andrew Patella says, I don't think I'll stick around today, but I'm going to share some personal good news. I've been working since November on getting browsers to agree on an incredibly obscure detail related to how form data is sent through the network, and I finally got Chrome to agree to the changes. Obscure web platform details is my gender now. Well, congrats. Bumble Homestead, thank you for gifting a sub. Adria Staley, thank you for subscribing with Prime for 6 months. Says, hello, Hannah. Glad to see you. Okay, so like I said, I bought the house like 3 or 4 years ago at this point, probably. I don't know the exact rough date even. And it's a nice house. I really like this house a lot. It's, what is it, 1, 2, 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath. There's a finished attic. There's a basement that's not finished. Decent kitchen. No dishwasher, though, which is a shame. But when I first bought it, the windows in the front and the back is the living room, and the front is just sort of like a entrance room that I use to put my treadmill and elliptical bike and stuff. The windows, they have these big, front room windows and back room windows, and they were just flat panes of glass, rather. So I had those replaced, which cost a decent bit of money, and that's the last big thing I bought into the house probably about 2 years ago, was redoing the windows so they could open. On top of that, I did also buy like a portable AC, so I could wheel in an AC in here and put it in the window, but I also have like a window unit for this room, and I'm just lazy and didn't get to doing that yet. But yeah, at some point I do want to get central air for the house. That would be good. I'm planning on, because I'm moving with Baja soon, at least that's our plan. We're looking at houses to get. So I was going to turn this into a rental property and rent it out to a friend of mine, basically at the mortgage cost. Just that way I can hold on to this and also have a different place with Baja. So yeah. Jesus Christ with the names. I really like to fart says, I have to sleep for my midnight shift soon, but happy to drop some bits. Good night to all of you. I hope you have a good night. Solid name. We're 80% to level 2. More bits, more gift subs. Bardlock Moses with 100 bits. Mike Mack says, real question, do you have a dussy in your house? We're not getting into the dussy thing right now. Hannah becoming a landlady. Traitor. True. Very, very true. So, I think we went over all the stuff that we're going to take a look at today. Oh, do I want to do... Let me see if there's anything good in Right Wing Watch. Just because we usually do that, at least a little bit. Hold on. Let me change the mirror. Tucker White says, well, it's that time of the month again. Time for me to live up to the entitled lefty stereotype and bum a sub off one of you. Bardlock Moses, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs to the community. Nick says, the Dussy guy was cool before he turned out to be so homophobic. Yeah, that tends to happen with those types of people. The conspiracy theorists, the right-wing ones. Right Wing Watch, and then the other one. Cold Stare, thanks for gifting a sub. Slander Sickens with 500 bits says, ever play Prey 2017? Oh yeah, I love that game. I love that and Dishonored and the BioShock games. What do they call those? Whatever that genre is, I like that genre a lot. 47% to level 4. We're doing pretty good today. No, not just first-person shooters. Simulation FPS. I feel like there's a different word for it. Let me look. Hold on. CJ Oracle, thanks for subscribing. Ugh, you can see my makeup start to cake where I'm sweating. It's so bad. Oh, it's 9 months. Bloody, my water broke. Okay, any ideas on the name for this sub baby? What do you think? Pyromancer says Twitch can add hype cat emotes, but still can't add a cat cheer. Mike Max says, do you think a call for an uprising will call Rainbow satanic because of the LGBTQ community and because he's crazy and claims everything is satanic? It wouldn't surprise me. I really like to fart says, here, Hannah, the last of my bits. I feel bad for making you say my name, going to pick out something a little more classy. It's fine. Thank you, though. Nick says, so I'm working on a VM inside of a VM inside of a VM. Oh, virtual machine. Interesting. Good luck. 80 a blue with 1,000 bits says, wow, Hannah looking amazing tonight. Thank you. Bioshock genre. It's like the same as System Shock, not just role-playing game. No, there's a different one. Ah, what do they call them? Immersive sim. That's what they tend to get called. FPS immersive sims. I love those kind of games. 15% to the level 5 hype train. We might actually make it to level 5 today. Slender's Sickness with 100 says, oh, sorry, it's Slender Sickness, named after the mental effects of being around Slender Man. I'm a big Marble Hornets fan. Okay, Slender Sickness. Slender Sickness. Gotta remember that. 18% to level 5, and then we'll probably do some right-wing cope stuff once the hype train's done. What can I put on while we're waiting? Pyromancer, thank you for gifting a sub. You don't understand how it'll qualify as immersive. I understand what you're saying. It's kind of a weird misnomer, but, like, they do tend to get called that. Jody Girl, 78 with 100 bits. Thank you. Oh, this is one of those pets that they trained to use the buttons. Pyromancer, thanks for gifting a sub to Tucker White.
You went outside, catnip? Did you come all the way inside and tell me that you looked like catnip? You are so cute. Okay. Mom, come.
Mom, come.
Billy wants outside catnip.
Billy wants outside catnip. Okay.
Oh, you're all done outside? You want inside catnip? Oh, you want catnip on your Zoom? Okay. Come here. Come, Billy.
Come, Billy.
All done. All done. Catnip on your Zoom. Okay. On your Zoom? Okay. Come here. Come, Billy.
I'm always very skeptical of the pets with the buttons to communicate. It just feels, I don't know, like bullshit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. It just feels iffy to me. I don't know. One Speedy Yoshi with a PragerU link. Since the left is so much more interested in fixing society than in improving the individual, politics inevitably becomes the vehicle for social improvement. Oh, are we supposed to think that's bad? Politics improving society somewhat? The horror. Jesus Christ. Oh, PragerU. We got a minute and a half left on the level 5 hype train with 56%. We're very close. Once we wrap this up, we will begin. What are my thoughts on the Crowder YouTube lawsuit? I think I said it the other day in that there's no bad scenario for this for me. Either Steven Crowder wins and YouTube kind of chills out on some of their striking, or Steven Crowder loses, and he loses a bunch of money, which is good for me either way. So, yay! Tucker White says, so in which of Grand Zeno's multiverses that is that an own on the libs? Grand Zeno. I don't get that reference. 40 seconds left in the hype train. We were so close. 57% to level 5. Someone do something. Dragon Ball. Gotcha. Bardlock Moses with 100 bits. 20 seconds left.
So it seems...
Pyromancer! Woo! Gifts 5 tier 1 subs. And gets us to the level 5 hype train. Thank you. Alexa play Smash Mouth says, I am doing something. Alexa, play Smash Mouth.
that Zoom Court has struck once again. Poor Judge Middleton, who it seems has to deal with all of the worst cases, who dealt with the accuser who was in the same room as the accused, with the person who was dealing with a suspended license while zooming from a car, is now dealing with this yahoo.
Your name's not Butt 3000, you yo-ho.
Yes,
What?
that is definitely not his real name. It seems
Oh
that the
no.
judge saw that the
He put
username was
Butt
something I can't
3000 as his name for Zoom Court. That's a bad call.
say, but he was not amused. The person who was making a court appearance clearly had no idea what was going on, seemed contrite.
I don't believe that I typed anything like that in.
This is a misunderstanding. Poor Judge Middleton has seen everything here. He excoriates the person for not checking your Zoom username. Come on, we've been doing Zoom hearings for over a year now. You've got to check your username before you sign into court.
Think about what you call yourself online.
And gave him a timeout to think about what he's done. So I guess we'll see this guy back in court.
You yo-ho.
Call someone a yo-ho. Alrighty, I guess we should start after that lovely hype train. Thank you, chat, again for that. Oh, I gotta actually fix the aspect ratio on this. It's a little off. I'm sorry. I know I was fooling with it a little bit the past couple days, so. Let me just move this down. Over a bit. Okie dokie. We should be good for some right-wing cope. Let's take a look at what they've been up to, shall we?
Anybody?
Oh, goodness. Is this another thing where it's like, I taught my kids some shitty shit, so now I'm gonna have them go stand up in public and embarrass themselves based on a thing I taught them to do?
Barely anybody likes masks in schools. Their children are suffocating. You don't know what it feels like.
I'm pretty sure they probably do. I think they're also people who wear masks because everyone wears masks.
And just, it's nonsense. Seriously.
I'm not gonna watch the rest of this just because you get it. I feel bad for that kid. Don't use your kid as political props. Not cool. One Speedy Yoshi says, but F-word was my ex-boyfriend's name. Nick says, oh look, it's the 2020s versions of the Hitler Youth. Jesus. Pyromancer says, maybe the right wing could get some pet parrots, probably cheaper than kids. Maybe. Also probably a little better for the environment. Oh, I saw that one. Not covering that. You see Nick Fuentes going full mask off and saying that he thinks Putin, Z, and Assad are more compelling than Biden, Boris, and Merkel. Boy, it's almost like he wants a dictatorship. Isn't that weird? Who could have seen that coming? Wait, they have a Bitcoin pizza? Today I'm announcing Bitcoin Pizza, a new national pizza brand that is launching in 10 cities. The first pizzas will be delivered this Saturday, which is the 11th year anniversary of the infamous Bitcoin pizza transaction. The music might be iffy if I can play this.
What is Bitcoin Pizza? Bitcoin Pizza
That implies Nick Fuentes wasn't already mask off. I guess that's fair.
is a new national pizza chain that allows you to eat tasty pizza while also supporting Bitcoin developers. Here's how it works. You head to eatbitcoinpizza.com, you order the pizza that you want, You select the day and time that you want it delivered straight to your door.
I know how pizza
And a
delivery
local
works.
pizzeria in your town will go ahead, they'll make the pizza, they'll put it in one of these awesome boxes that we've created, and they'll have it delivered right to you on the specified.
Wait, so it's not even it's not even actually its own pizza place. It's a company that is outsourcing pizza to local pizza places and just providing them with special boxes? What? What is this?
Specified day and time. We take 100% of the profits from this pilot and we're donating it to the Human Rights Foundation Bitcoin Developers Fund. That's right, when you buy a Bitcoin pizza, what happens is you're
Okay, so it's basically just a third party that is handling the pizza transaction, skimming money off the top, and then donating some of that money to these other development things. At that point, why don't I just directly donate to someone and buy a pizza? What? I know this isn't even necessarily right-wing cope or anything, it's just like a failing of capitalism. It's just a weird, like, what if we made pizza delivery waste more materials, money, and time for absolutely no reason? Mike Mack says, if I, a fat person, can exercise with a mask on and be okay, these people have no excuse. Even asthma people wear a mask, right? We should know this by now. Pyromancer says, I always love when people use infamous when they mean famous. They're being edgy, though. They're infamous. Alpha Mariox says, I had a good day capturing animals for my army. Hey, do you, I guess. Tucker White says, do we really need to explain how to order pizza? Pretty sure anyone who spends their time mining Bitcoin is squarely the target audience for pizza joints.
you're actually funding Bitcoin development.
This is like Garfield Eats for tech bros, except even Garfield Eats actually made their own shitty pizza.
So to get started, we're launching in 10 cities across the United States. Boston, New York, Washington, D.C., Miami, Chicago, Austin, Houston, Seattle, the Bay Area, and L.A. If you're in one of those 10 cities in the United States, you can go to eatbitcoinpizza.com today and actually put in an order for delivery starting on Saturday. This Saturday is the 11-year anniversary of the infamous Bitcoin pizza transaction. It was the first purchase of a good or service using Bitcoin as a currency 11 years ago. When you place an order at eatbitcoinpizza.com, not only are you getting tasty food, but you're also supporting a local small business and Bitcoin developers around the world. So this Saturday, make sure that you clear your calendar and you order Bitcoin pizza.
Jesus Christ. What in the hell? That is so absolutely bizarre. And then Right Wing Cope says, I'll never understand how this motherfucker had the confidence to market a website called Bitcoin Pizza where the only payment options are card or Google Pay. Imagine buying drop-shipped pizza just so you can soy face because they put a Bitcoin logo on the box. You can't even buy it with Bitcoin. Oh my god, no. One Speedy Yoshi says, at my grandparents, they're saying, quote, minimum wage wasn't made for a living wage. They're getting more on unemployment, so they don't want to work, end quote. That's the point. They still don't know I'm gay. I'm sorry your grandparents are like this. Steve of the Q says, but Hannah, wasting time, money, and energy is what cryptocurrency is all about. I guess so. Mike Mack says, conservatives are using the understand logic that sovereign citizens use to deny that fact. Ooh. Tucker White says, slightly off topic, how the F do people even make money off cryptocurrency? It's a speculation bubble. That's the answer. That's the whole answer. Hold on, I gotta change this window capture. Because, like, I screwed this up the other day, and it hasn't been right since. Just gotta re-engineer it. We got this. We can fix this. We don't need the thing up there. But other than that, bring that back down. better, I think. Adia Blue says, folks buy Bitcoin because folks buy Bitcoin just in case folks buy Bitcoin. Yeah. Basically. Oh, did you see this dumb Joe Rogan thing? Surprise, Joe Rogan said a stupid thing.
You can never be woke enough. That's the problem. It keeps going. It keeps going further and further and further down the line. And if you get to the point where you capitulate, where you agree to all these demands, it'll eventually get to straight white men are not allowed to talk.
Right.
Because it's your privilege to express yourself when other...
This just in, man with the biggest podcast audience on the planet is afraid that his voice won't be heard because of the color of his skin. Cool. Oh god, it's a Minions anti-vax meme. Earth was a mistake. Let's take a look at Right Wing Watch. They usually have some crazy stuff. Is this guy still mad that people are calling him out for his failed prophecies about Trump winning the second election?
There's a lot of people touching many of God's true and choice servants right now. They better be careful, because God will not acknowledge certain things that He's called them to or put within their office. It's a dangerous place. Okay? And some of you might get leprosy.
Stop criticizing me, or else God will give you leprosy. One Speedy Yoshi says, now they're saying college prices don't matter because everyone should go to trade school instead. Mike Mack says, going to Texas was Joe's biggest mistake. And then One Speedy Yoshi says, Bitcoin pizza versus the Chad Pasquale's pizza and wings. Ever since we watched those videos, I have a weird craving to try Chuck E. Cheese pizza. I haven't had it since I was probably 9 years old. Tentacly Alien Man, thank you for subscribing for 10 months. Bill Mitchell. It's interesting that there seems to be like 10 of these like prophet people that we always cover on this.
But what's so strange about the liberals' obsession with this is the typical, the typical liberal is your, millennial, younger person running around out there.
Millennials are in their like late 30s.
And the chances of them catching COVID and dying from COVID are extremely slim. That's just the science, folks. I'm not making it up. It's not a conspiracy theory. This is not fake news. This is not misleading anything on my part. Everybody knows that it is extremely rare for younger people to die of this disease.
Okay, but it can still affect them for the rest of their lives. I think it was, was it 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 or something? People who catch COVID have respiratory issues for the rest of their life, and that's probably an old statistic. I guess I don't know what it is now, but last time I looked, that's what it was. Broadlock Moses says, I can Uber Pasquale's here. I think I can too, but I'm keeping myself to 1 Uber Eats per month. I guess it's not even necessarily that. One fast food thing per month currently. So Wing the Ultimate Nug says, did you see China banned all cryptocurrency in the tech and Bitcoin dropped by half in value? Don't buy any crypto, it's dead. I didn't see that.
People dying from this disease are older people, mostly. Now, you're always going to have the rare case of the young person that succumbs to this terrible disease.
Is his argument going to be, why do young people give a shit about COVID? Because it mainly is killing old people? Because we have empathy, and because we have people in our lives who we care about that we don't want to die. And even if I don't know them personally, why would I want a bunch of old people to die of a horrifying respiratory illness? What? What kind of sociopathic question is this going to be?
And dies. I understand that. I'm not denying that. That happens. But overall, statistically speaking, it's mostly older, sick people. Well, mostly older, sick people vote Republican.
Okay.
Senior citizens tend to vote Republican. So why have the Democrats and these liberals been so obsessed with the mask wearing and the...
Do they assume I want all of my political enemies to drop dead of a horrifying illness where they'll be gasping for breath? No, you sick fuck. Learn empathy. What?
Social distancing and all those things to stop a disease It's killing mostly Republicans. Seems very strange.
Oh my god, well, he wants all his political enemies to die. One Speedy Yoshi says, who's the best Chuck E. Cheese character? Chuck Entertainment Cheese, Pasquale P. Pie Plate, Helen Henny, Jasper T. Jowls, or Mr. Munch? I'm gonna say Pasquale. Mike Mack says, if God wanted to tell his followers the truth, why didn't he tell every Christian in the world? At that point, no one will deny the truth, but he somehow only talks to the rich pastor. I know. God has a thing for rich guys with yachts.
I am so glad that we've gotten together. You surprised me, and I really was surprised. You told me that you have watched True News for years.
I have.
I can't believe people are falling for Milo's bullshit transformation, air quotes. It's like the least convincing fake ever, but there are actually people on the fringes of the like alt-right that are like, oh, he's straight now, let's bring him on.
I was sort of teaching myself how to be provocative and interesting and chameleonic and all the rest of it. I looked out on American media and you know, tried to identify the other people that had this same gift. And you know, you are one of the people I've been watching for years. You have a very special, very natural talent for irritating all the same people that I can't stand. So.
Again, an entire personality based around who can we annoy?
You know, and one of the interesting.
I feel like I found my son.
Tucker White says, I don't know what's more pathetic, Milo's new grift or that god-awful mullet.
Tell you, this is a prophetic declaration to the reality of the world right now. They're gods. They're Luciferian gods. Yes, they've made blood sacrifices. They've done horrific witchcraft. They've done the most advanced evil imaginable. But neither their gods, their false gods, can protect the people, nor can the people protect their gods. And that was the Lord's declaration. I'm putting my anointing on Cyrus, and I don't care how thick your walls are. I don't care how many watchtowers you have. I don't care how much of the money you think you've stolen. I don't care how advanced your witchcraft and your idolatry is.
I have pretty advanced witchcraft, so maybe reconsider.
You are not going to be able to defend yourself from what I'm bringing to you. And that's...
Altered Rin with 100 bits says, I just hit 500 followers. Thanks for the collab, Hannah. Hopefully we can do something again in the future. I hope so. That was fun. Go check out Altered Rin here on Twitch. Baycop 2027 with 100 bits says, last time I ate Taco Bell, I made a blood sacrifice. Is that what they're calling it nowadays? Your poor toilet.
A message for all those involved in deep state activity, Luciferian activity. That's what President Trump's assignment is. That's what we, the people of God, are to agree with, to prophesy in agreement with, pray in agreement with, and to do so unapologetically.
I find it ironic that, like, recently when it was announced that, I think it's the New York District Attorney or something, is turning the civil investigation of the Trump Organization into a criminal one, all I saw from these people is, this is a witch hunt. And then we literally have people like this who are claiming that their enemies are witches and doing witchcraft. They're literally engaging in a witch hunt in the 21st century. But these are the same people that call criminal investigations into criminals witch hunts. It's a little funny. Princess Amelia says, got my first dose of COVID vaccine today. My arm hurts a bit, but otherwise I feel fine and happy to do my part to help end this pandemic. Wonderful. Thank you for getting that. Mike Mack says, I heard that Christians view other religions as false or untrue, but this Christian put the blame on other gods. So are other religions correct or not? Certain evangelicals believe that the gods of other religions are demons pretending to be gods that are tricking people. It's pretty offensive, to be entirely honest. And I'm not religious, but, like, the hubris to, like, look at someone else's religion when you have a religion and being like, actually, I know more about your religion than you, and those are demons, not gods. Like, that's a messed up thing to do. One Speedy Yoshi says, blood sacrifice? Like what Peter thinks is happening to women who take the shot? No, he thinks that's a super period. Very different. Morok says, I officially start with Apple on the 26th. I'm getting sloshed on wine as a celebration. Well, I hope you have a wonderful and responsible evening. Stay hydrated.
Not back down, not allow our voice to be censored by some group thought, even within the body of Christ, that thinks they're smart enough to figure this out better than God.
By
this is Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about the commission to investigate the January 6th insurrection attempt.
Trump-hating Democrats and Republicans that have no interest in revealing the real truth. They're only going to use the January 6th commission to tear down Trump's legacy,
That would probably be good for you, considering his legacy is super, super shit.
Down and smear him if he runs for president again in 2020.
It's not hard to smear a turd. Is that a saying? Did I just come up with a... No? Okay.
24, and it will be used to demoralize Trump supporters and people that loved attending rallies and love the MAGA movement and love America First policies, and it will be used to demoralize them and paint them as if they're horrible people.
If the shoe fits. Tucker White says, even back when I considered myself a Christian, I'm from Tennessee, I had no choice. I never understood how people rationalized the fact that Yahweh was all-powerful, yet just allows his enemies to exist. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Mike Mack says, I just found a channel that wants Jewish people to view Jesus as their Messiah. I mean, that's sort of part of the Great Commission. They want to proselytize to people.
That entered the Capitol, breached the Capitol on January 6th. That's what we will see coming out of a January 6th commission.
Yes. A commission to look into the origins of the criminality that happened on the 6th would, in fact, point out that criminals are criminals for doing criminality. You are correct.
We will not see real truth revealed. We will not see real bad guys go to jail. They've already been arrested. They're already being held, some of them 23 hours a day in solitary confinement, which is unreal.
What do you think her opinion was on Chelsea Manning getting held in solitary for 23 hours a day? You think she was also at that point like, this is a human rights violation?
Haven't even been convicted yet. These people haven't even seen a day in court, which is completely unfair, and they're being mistreated this way. It's wrong. It is wrong.
Oh, so are you in favor of criminal justice reform across the entire system that will lead to more humane treatment of prisoners, or is it only specifically people who want to kill people for Donald Trump, like yourself? Just curious.
While Antifa, BLM, domestic terrorists...
She'd probably dead name Chelsea Manning to hell and back. Of course she would.
Walk the streets and continue to commit violence anytime they want to. This is an outrage, and it's completely against anything that I think should be happening in our country, and it's happening straight out of Congress and right here in Washington, D.C. I'm very upset about it.
I wonder if she actually had any involvement in any of the people planning stuff, just because... It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not making accusations or anything. Just... Wouldn't that be fun? Tucker White says, without looking it up, I'm willing to bet that MTG's opinions on Guantanamo Bay will be entirely consistent with what she just said here. Well, of course. She wouldn't want to be a hypocrite now, would she? Oh, no.
They have tried everything to get you to take this thing. They have tried bribing you. There's even one governor who's offering $100 bounty for you if you go and get this vaccine.
Oh, that would have been sweet. I'll take $100.
Now,
That's so cheap.
What about Lyft and Uber? These people, they were offering free rides to anybody who could prove that they were injected. Need I remind you, there was another place that offered free rides, free transportation for injections. They were called Germany, and they gave free boxcar transportations to a place called Auschwitz. They have tried...
Oh no. Anytime you get a free ride anywhere, it's literally the Holocaust. Did you know that, guys? The Holocaust is when someone takes you somewhere for free. Consensually. Nick says, so you disagree with the 10 Benghazi investigations, right, Marjorie Taylor Greene? One Speedy Yoshi says, let's make a new card game based on Marjorie Taylor Greene called MTG and ban Jeremy from that, too. Tucker White says, not C's, drink, you bastards, drink.
Got blown away this weekend at Bob Evans's. Bob had this gentleman that he knows who does like Civil War reenactments, that kind of stuff, and he brought with him all of the different flags.
Wait, someone's pretending to be you in chat? Hold on, is there someone with a name that's very similar to Baha? I didn't see it. That's screwed up. Shady Shroomy says, I hate green just because every time I see MTG, I think, oh, our friend's talking about Magic the Gathering, and it's usually that Karen. Nick says, shut the F up, Dave. And Captain Rose says, want me to poll the fans on how many want you and Jake to have a used sock giveaway? No! Oh, Junche Baha. Gotcha. Thank you for the ban, Baha. Tucker White says, wait, did Dave Daubenmeier just say he got blown at Bob's this last weekend?
Flags that were flown during the Civil War. Did you know that that was the cross of St. Andrew?
Wait, what's he talking about?
Because I got blown away this weekend at Bob Evans's. Bob had this gentleman that he knows who does like Civil War reenactments, that kind of stuff, and he brought with him all of the different flags that were flown during the Civil War. Did you know that that was the cross of St. Andrew? Did you know that the Southern flag...
Okay, did you know that the flag of Nazi Germany used a swastika, which prior to that was a holy symbol for, you know, people and also was considered a luck charm? It doesn't matter. The symbol gets tainted by people who use it in the name of evil. That's how things work. That's how symbols work.
Was a representation of the crucifixion of St. Andrew. I had no idea. It had nothing to do with slavery.
Well, the flag of the southern states of the Confederacy didn't literally have a slave being beaten on the flag, therefore it can't be about slavery. This is where the arguments have devolved to.
It had everything to do with righteous government and the right of free men to govern themselves.
To govern themselves to do what? To govern themselves to do what?
It's unbelievable, right? The winners write the history. Isn't that what they tell us? The winners write the history. And they have made the Southern flag about slavery.
Because they left the Union so they could have the, air quote, right to hold slaves, to forcibly hold other human beings as property. You sick fuck.
Because they know if there was voter ID.
Oh, I think we saw that one. Alright, that's probably enough right-wing cope. Not a ton of it today, but, you know, it's always fun to take a look at. So, let's move on. Mike Mack says, can the right just say they want to be sovereign citizens? Feels like it's moving that way, huh? What do we want to do first? Okay, I kind of want to do this one just because it seems silly. Heels versus Babyface, who's another one of these, the quartering-esque culture warriors that hates SJWs and says things like, get woke, go broke. I guess there's a new Superman animated series coming out on HBO Max or something, and This guy has strong opinions on it, considering one image has been released of the show, and he knows everything he needs to about this show from this one image. So let's take a look.
Hi everyone, it's Az here from Heel vs. Babyface. It's just one image, but it already sinks the heart. It's just one image, but it already says so much. It's just one image, and I just don't want anything to do with it already. Anyway, let's...
This is a cartoon about Superman, a children's character primarily. Again, I understand that there are adult Superman comics and a ton of them, and there's very mature Superman material out there. But come on, okay, it's a Superman cartoon. The age range that they're shooting for this tops is like 14, and then if you're an adult who enjoys it, you can enjoy it too. But you know, I would imagine this is shooting for that like 10 to 15 demographic, if I had to guess. And this adult man is exasperated that one image released from this show is not fitting to his taste. It's honestly wild. Tucker White says, I'm so grateful that I grew up in a part of Tennessee that didn't teach this lost cause garbage. I couldn't imagine being someone who actually believed that, like some peoples I've encountered on Twitter. Yeah, people are ridiculous about the Civil War stuff. Bardlock Moses says, Daughters of the Confederacy proves that winners don't always write history. And then One Speedy Yoshi says, I've got to find some quartering type people raging about Steven Universe. First gay wedding in a cartoon, baby. I guess I have to watch that. I haven't seen Steven Universe very much. Oh, I missed Tucker White Bit's message. Hold on, let me go back. Dave Daubenmeyer just say he got blown at Bob's this last weekend. I thought I already said that one. Was it a different one? I thought I got that. Pretty sure I got that. Is that the creator of She-Ra working on this? The art style looks similar. Could be. And Morok says, Jimmy is black? Hell yeah. Oh, I guess that is Jimmy Olsen.
Let's get into it. This is coming from Polygonzies. A new Superman animated series is on the way from HBO Max and Cartoon Network.
I'm actually kind of excited. I mean, I like the animated DC stuff quite a bit. I'm not a big fan of the live action for the most part. I enjoy Joker and Shazam, and I'm sure there'll be other stuff. The Suicide Squad, James Gunn thing's probably going to be alright. But, like, I really like the Harley Quinn show. The other animated movies have been fine. This show will probably be entertaining. Princess Amelia says, you know what I do when I think a new series isn't to my taste? I don't watch it. Simple. Right? You don't make long videos about it? Crazy.
The series is all about the young adult lives of Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Oh, the young adult lives. They're in their 20s, but no doubt they'll act as if they're in 5. Let's just have a look at this one still that we've been given.
Cartoon characters acting silly? Not on my watch. I'm a 40-year-old man. I know what cartoons should be.
One still that says so much. First of all, we have a tokenized and feminized, just look at that soy.
Wait, is this guy's first complaint is he thought Jimmy Olsen was a badass alpha male previously, and he thinks that he's been soyified? Because historically, Jimmy Olsen has been such a macho man's man, you know? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this alpha. Look at this goddamn Sigma male, okay? Look at this. Look at this beefy, hunky man's man. If you look at this guy and you don't think peak masculinity, if you look at this guy and you don't think, oh my god, there isn't an ounce of the effeminate abound. Look, okay, this bit's gone on long enough. The point I'm trying to make is Jimmy Olsen you know, he's a foil for Clark in a lot of ways. He's a happy-go-lucky young reporter who's just happy to be there and take pictures, and that's great, that's fine. Jimmy Olsen's never been the manliest manly man, and that's fine. That's not untrue to the character. Who cares? In fact, interestingly, in Supergirl, they sort of did the opposite, which Heels versus Babyface I don't think liked Supergirl. And I think, I didn't really watch Supergirl, but in order to sort of do the opposite, and I think maybe make Jimmy Olsen a potential love interest? I don't know, though. They actually did make him a little more adult manly. Jimmy Olsen's always been a bit juvenile because he's supposed to be sort of a stand-in as like a younger person who looks up to Superman, but in Supergirl, he's, you know, he's like he looks more like a dude. Does that make sense? I don't know. So I find that a little funny. That they actually have changed Jimmy Olsen in the past, but it's been the opposite direction. One Speedy Yoshi says, this looks like fun. I would have liked if they made the Superman Family show. It would have had John Kent. He's never been in any cartoon, but Damian Wayne has been in a bunch. The current Superman and Lois show is like the family Superman show. It's live action. It's pretty good. I've enjoyed it so far. Tucker White says, let me guess, his argument will be Jimmy's black now, Lois is feminazi, something Marxist bottom text. Probably. Devious Chilster says, why is Luz and Gus from the Owl House hanging out with Superman? I don't get that, sorry. Mike Mack says, Legion of Superheroes cartoon had a nerdy thin Superman for the first season and it was fine. Man, these anti-cancel culture people want to cancel everything.
Face Jimmy Olsen. But as Jimmy Olsen was black in Supergirl on the CW. Yes, he was. A show that was renowned for its intersectional feminism, hatred.
Dude, why does the race of... Why does Jimmy Olsen being a non-white person affect the story negatively? That's something I never get from these people. Why does it matter to you? Why?
Of straight white males, tokenization, and virtue signaling. So we've got a tokenized, feminized...
I'm not getting where he thinks... Again, we're talking about a single image, and he's like, feminized. They've been force-feminized.
Jimmy Olsen. Just the way they like tokenized characters to be. Nice and submissive. Submissive like a... something else?
What?
Oh. They sure as hell like them that way, though. Then we have...
I genuinely don't know what he's alluding to there, but I feel like it's probably something fucked up. Tucker White says, but Hannah, if black people aren't dressed in a butler suit and serving their rich masters mint juleps, then freedom dies. I guess so.
I think this is meant to be Lois Lane, but there isn't a single solitary thing here that reminds me of Lois Lane. The red hair.
She is not currently being captured by Lex Luthor. How is this even Lois Lane?
Is gone. We now have
red hair. What? Lois Lane. Let's look at various iterations of Lois Lane, shall we? Is he thinking of literally just the one red-haired Lois Lane from the Zack Snyder movies? Because that's not typical. Lois Lane has historically, and again, I don't think any of this matters. If she was red-headed or blonde or whatever, I don't think it cares. I don't think it matters. Her hair color is not, like, important to the character. But historically, Lois Lane has usually been a brunette, right? Or had, like, black hair. Why is he harping on the idea of her being... What? I'm just so confused.
Selena Kyle, short black hair.
Tucker White says, don't worry, this Lois is probably just 10 minutes from being captured.
That's Batman. You got the wrong show.
Only Selena Kyle is allowed to have short hair. No other lady character can have short hair. That's literally only Catwoman's thing. Toan24 says, outside of DCEU, she's been black-haired. She's a clown. He's a clown who's never read a comic.
You got the wrong show. She has been completely defeminized.
It was all sucked out by Jimmy Olsen, I guess. Jimmy Olsen absorbed her femininity. Maybe Clark and him will get together. That'd be nice. Mike Mask says, it's kind of like this cartoon is its own story from the comic. What do we call that? Oh yes, a multiverse. Do I think if Lois and Clark was released today, these people would be freaked out? Probably. There is a Clark Kent and Lois Lane show out right now. Superman and Lois. It's pretty good. Devious Chilter says, I legit don't get it, though. Lois is definitely the kind of woman who'd get a pixie cut because she believes long hair or something gets in the way of the perfect shot. Also, she looks cute as hell. WTF is this guy talking about? I agree. I think this image is actually a pretty good cartoon, like, first impression of these characters. You have Jimmy Olsen in the background, who's just happy to be here with his friends, taking pictures. You have Clark Kent, and let me be clear, I'm talking about Clark Kent, not Superman. I know they're the same person, but he's in Clark Kent mode here. Clark Kent, who's along writing a story with Lois. Lois being just intensely excited about the scoop that they're in on. Like, Clark, we're here, and we're gonna investigate LexCorp, and we're gonna get to the bottom of the story. And she's very excited for the story, but he, being in Clark Kent mode, has to be kind of, like, timid, and not Superman, super confident. Like, this, I get it. They are illustrating all the characters right now, both literally and figuratively, and I think this all makes sense for the characters. I don't understand looking at this and not understanding what they're doing, if you know anything about the characters. Mike Mack says, remember when Superman defended illegal immigrants and fought the KKK? What a hero. Chuds. He no hero. He a communist. Tucker White says, I don't see what's wrong with Lois here. I'm more into tomboyish gals anyway, and Doodleburb says, right, I love how you can clearly see their personalities here. It's captured perfectly. I agree.
Don't get excited, boys. Nothing to get excited about. This one has been based off a fucking ironing board. Straight up and down, and flat as a pancake.
Why no Lois Lane have big double E titties?
Ironing board Lois Lane. She looks also like she's got cat eyes. Are you sure you're not drawing Selena Kyle here, folks?
Tucker White says, also, I can't think of another time I'll get to link this, so...
Nice S.
But she's got that.
Nick says, small bobs are valid. Bobs of all size are valid. That XY girl says, super chat for the itty bitty titty committee. Thank you.
Crazy, I'm a fucking psycho bitch look on her face. Oh my god, LOL.
Oh my goodness. What do you think goes wrong in these people's lives where this is what happens, and this is their reaction to things? Well, let me be clear. I'm not telling this guy he has to like new Superman cartoons. He's in his 40s. I don't, like, not that there's any, and let me be clear, too. There's nothing wrong with liking cartoons or stuff made for families or children above 40 or 30 or whatever age you are. I'm not. It's just so funny to me that, like, after a certain age, I feel like your priorities and your view of the world, and I think I'm already to this age, and I'm not even 30 yet, where I'm like, look, I can enjoy and have these fun discussions with friends or whoever about media we enjoy. I can say why I don't like a thing, whatever. But, like, this is a completely different level. This guy has got to be in his 40s, and he's this... I don't even want to use the word triggered, but I don't know what else to say. Look at how triggered he is over a single image of a cartoon show he's never even seen, made for children and adolescents, about a character written in the 1930s. Like, it's just... I don't understand I don't understand, and I understand that he's doing it because he makes money doing it, because there are a lot of other people like this who are weird misanthropes obsessed with this perceived culture war, and this is what they do. They just work themselves up into anger about every little thing. But isn't that exhausting? Isn't that so tiring, just every day looking for some new banal thing to get mad about? Whatever. Logarth says, I mean, Lois is so iconic, even in parody superhero stuff, the reporter has short, dark hair. Look at Megamind Lady Reporter. Yeah. Mike Mack says, Lois was always a wild card. Yeah, she'd sneak places after Clark or Superman had told her not to, and then Superman goes and rescues her. He's never seen a woman excited before. That explains a lot. Tucker White says, the only complaint I have, and it's just a nitpick, is that Lois here looks a little bit too much like Catra. Could be some of the same character design people. Magic Lad TY says, Lois is just as skinny, if not skinnier, than Jimmy, and has about the same hair length as each other, so how is he feminized, but she's been defeminized? Because one has da pee-pee, and one has da no pee-pee. Morok says, my significant other who is a female at birth and not on hormones or had surgery is flat and has a pixie cut. They do exist. Vault 319 says, Superman is totally a bottom.
I got Clark. This is how it's gonna do's it. We're gonna goes and do's the thing. Lois.
You're literally describing how a lot of conversations go between Clark and Lois. Yeah. Yep. Do you know about the characters? Clark, we gotta go investigate the thing. Oh, but Lois, that's dangerous. Do you really think... Lois sneaks away to do the investigation. Superman shows up. Repeat for 80 years. 90 years at this point, almost. Tucker White says, so Lois is a 2-pack-a-day chain smoker? I guess so.
So, of course, Lois is the dominant figure in this imagery. Clark is the fucking, is the just absolute dork. His glasses are getting...
Bitch! He's Clark Kent! He's Clark motherfucking Kent! You're complaining that Clark Kent is a nerd? Ah! That's his character! Nick says, get a dominatrix. Heal, babe. You'll be less angry. It would be like if there, like, imagine there was an image of a Batman animated series coming out, and it was a picture of Bruce Wayne in a nice business suit, doing business with someone, and Heels was like, oh, so this is Batman, huh? Just doing business deals in the daytime? I thought Batman beat up criminals at night. What a terrible adaptation. Like, do you know anything about anything? What? Mike Mack says, Clark was literally meant to be a disguise for Superman. That's why he's a nerdy character and even slouches and other short hair Lois. Is this one from... Oh, this is from Gods and Monsters, I think, isn't it? Which was a pretty good animated, like, what-if story. In the show from the 50s, he's literally described...
Pushed above him. Oh my god, a woman touched me, I'm blushing.
That's very in line with Clark Kent's character. He's a country boy, born and raised in Smallville. He's a himbo. Yeah. If you want to use sort of modern language to describe it. He loves Lois Lane, and he's very... How do I put this? I don't even know if I want to use the word conservative because it has such negative connotations nowadays. But, like, he is very conservative in the sense that, like, He was born, he dated, I think, Lana Lang, but he's very old-fashioned and reserved. Yeah, he's shy. He wants to court a woman and be like a gentleman and shit, because he was born in this small town with these old-fashioned parents. Like, yeah, this would probably make him blush a little bit, because he's into Lois Lane. That's like a primary characteristic of the character. Like, even if you didn't read the comics, go watch, the Superman movie from the 70s, the first one. This dynamic is there too.
A woman brushed up against me. I mean, I think she did. I mean, all I could feel was a fucking sternum.
Raised, not born. You're right. I'm sorry. He crash landed.
From her ironing board figure. Oh, Clarky, don't be like that. I'm Jimmy Olsen.
Mike Mack says this picture shows Clark being surprised, if anything, but I guess being surprised is not manly. And Woohoo Lulu, thanks for subscribing for 12 months. Happy anniversary.
Watch it, Lois. You're making my pencil slip. Oh, no. Oh, I just have this horrible feeling that Lois goes by the pronouns of they, them.
It's the one joke.
Let's have a read. See what they say about this. My Adventures with Superman. Well, that says it all, really. My Adventures with Superman. Whose adventures? Lois's adventures, by any chance?
Possibly. She might be the POV character. They've done comic books like that before. They've done Lois Lane comics before, where the stories are sort of told from her perspective. I don't see an issue with that.
Probably. Well, I bet Jimmy's also gay.
Would it matter if he was? If they have a story to tell, or stories to tell with that being a thing, would it matter? Pyromancer says, or, the my can be the audience. The my can be the audience. I assume that's a typo.
Yeah. Probably. My Adventures with Superman is a new...
Oh, the my could be the audience. I get what you're saying. I apologize. Took me a second.
Animated series that will follow the lives of a young Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Warner Media announced on Wednesdays. What they fucking do. In the new show, Clark and Lois are both 20-somethings acting like 12-year-olds. Okay.
Back in my day, when we turned 20, no one ever had fun. We said, all right, you turned 20 today. No more fun or interactions with your friends. You are now an adult, and adults don't interact with fun in any way.
Both 20-somethings trying to make their way in Metropolis.
Yeah, that sounds sort of similar to the Lois and Clark show in the 90s.
Settling into their new jobs at the Daily Planet, where they meet their bestest frenzies in the whole world. Jimmy Olsen. Oh my god, you two are just like the best. I totally like ship you.
He's legitimately like the most embarrassing. This guy makes the quartering look halfway legitimate.
And slowly grow their romance. What, with Jimmy Olsen? Is it going to be a polygamous, polyamorous relationship? Knowing these fucking probably.
The whole video is just like, alright, here's the thing that's happening in the media. How can I use this to shit talk things I don't like? Gay people, people who aren't traditionally masculine, women who don't have double D titties, gay people, trans people, non-binary people. It's just like he's going down a checklist of everything in person in society he doesn't like and just using this as a framework to shit on them. It's a cartoon. Mike Mack says, I'm surprised Power Rangers is being attacked for being a diverse show for more than 2 decades. Is it? Isn't. Gotcha. Pyromancer says, when 80% of the stuff you say is in a silly voice, it doesn't help. I know, right?
Probably.
Morok says, as a poly lady, yes, please give me poly Superman. It's still illegal for me to marry my partners.
Of course, my adventures with Superman will also focus on Clark. That's very generous of you. As he learns to live with his secret identity as Superman and how to be the hero of Metropolis by listening to Ironing Board Lois Kyle, sister of Selena, by the looks of it. This is the first animated Superman series in many years, and we want to tell our our Superman story through the...
Again, he's just, like, making up shit to be mad about now by imagining this person having this weird voice and saying things like my truth, which isn't in the press release. He's, like, projecting his straw man visage of people he doesn't like onto this project to, like, manufacture outrage? It's very strange.
Trio of Clark, Lois, and Gemma, whose relationship dynamic will allow for rich, serialized, and engaging stories as we explore their lives as individuals and their journey as frenzies, said Sam Register, president of Warner Brothers Animation and Cartoon Network Studios, on the show's announcement.
Watch, this will turn out to be like an amazing Superman show, and he's gonna still have to find ways to hate on it because he made an ass of himself here. Next says he probably doesn't have the concept of object permanence to understand that all the diverse people are the Power Rangers. The helmets do make it complicated.
My Adventures with Superman will star The Boys' Jack Quaid as Superman.
Jack Quaid. Oh, really? Interesting. Okay. Sure. I can see that. And I'm curious what the voice will sound like. Tucker White says, how much do you want to bet this guy fits the alpha male build he projects? And then Nick says, his stereotypically gay lisp makes me want to... This is a TOS violation.
Alice Lee from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist as Lois Lane. The series is executive produced by Sam Register. Teen Titans Go. Jake Wyatt, Invader Zim, and Brendan Clogger, Voltron Legendary Defender. The show will be produced in a partnership between Cartoon Network and HBO Max.
So, considering it's Cartoon Network, it's probably aiming for an even younger audience than I had guessed. So, probably in the 8 to 13 demo would be my guess. Pickled Alien says, whenever I hear these dudes talk about cup size, I roll my eyes because they have no idea what that means. Cup size is the difference between band measurement and the largest part of the breast. It has nothing to do with the volume. Pyromancer says, I get wanting to make these characters for a new generation all the time, but the cynic in me gets tired of it. Sure. And that's okay. You don't have to like it. You can just be like, oh, another one of these things, and you move on, you know? Like, there have been tons of adaptations of Batman I don't give a shit about, and other characters that I just... go, oh, that's a thing? And I move on.
Oh, Jesus. Along with this new Superman series, Warner Media also introduced a new Batman series called Batman the Caped Crusader, which will be produced by Jar Jar Abrahams. The Batman director, Matt Reeves.
Remember all the versions of Scooby-Doo? Yeah, I've not seen the majority of Scooby-Doo.
And Bruce Timm.
Where's Paul Dini?
One image. It's just one image.
I know, which is why it's so embarrassing that you've gone on for so long about this.
But I already want to vomit in my mouth. Look.
You won't believe what happened to me the other day. I went on the internet and there was an image of a brand new Superman series, and I didn't like the first impression I got. I literally wanted to vomit in my mouth. Like, people make fun of, like, if we look at someone who's, like, not mentally well, like Christine Weston Chandler, right? She freaks out about stuff like Sonic having blue arms, or she doesn't like the upcoming My Little Pony series, and everyone kind of rightfully goes, Christine freaking out about something innocuous again, like, who cares? And Christine kind of has a justification, at least, in that she's, like, not mentally right, you know? Like she's got delusional stuff going on. This guy's just a dick, right? And he's like, they're making a Superman show I don't like. Very, very strange.
I'm not holding out for anything nowadays, you know? I just, when this is the type of, I can almost, words out. Use your words. Use your truth. Use your words. I can just imagine what is being said in this scene. You can just imagine the hyperactive.
She's probably like, Clark, we're gonna investigate the thing. We're gonna investigate LexCorp, or we're gonna look at the thing. We're gonna be the best reporters in Metropolis. And Clark's gonna be like, I don't know, Lois. Are we gonna? And she'll be like, no, Clark, we'll do it. You know, like Superman does.
Lois Lane bouncing around while the two Femi guys just look.
I don't think Clark looks Femi here, to be entirely honest.
Look on with awe. She's so amazing. Oh my god. Clark, why are you such a klutzies? Oh my god, I'm late for my date with David. Oh my god. Better take the camera in case I get lucky. Know what I mean, Clark? Ah, winky face. Yeah, it's probably gonna go down that wonderful road of just Lois dominating the series, dictating how Superman develops, bestest ever. God, no, no, thank you, but no, thank you. Hope you enjoyed the vid.
Great, so we spent 10 minutes having an adult man tell us why he's not gonna watch a cartoon for children. This has been worth our time.
If you did, please do get a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and YouTube for live streaming. Links are in the description box down below. And
Jesus Christ, how bad are these comments gonna be? As the husband of a ginger, it really pisses me off when my wife's people are being blackwashed so often. Yikes. Also, again, Lois Lane does not typically have red hair. Wow. Yikerinos. Moving on. That's so bad. These people hurt me physically every time they make a video like that. Tucker White says, I imagine she's saying, just think, Clark, we find evidence that links Lex Luthor to this arms shipment. We'll be rich and famous. F yeah. Also, if this guy thinks Clark there is femme, then he really needs... Nope, not reading that. Pyromancer says, does he realize you don't need 10 minutes to run ads anymore? He could have saved a couple minutes. That's true. I think it's 8 minutes now. I don't know if I want to cover that right now. Let's do this one. Zealous55, thank you for subscribing for 6 months on a 6-month streak, says, you're badass, love you. Thank you. Thanks for the sub. So Liberty Hangout is a brand new video. We haven't checked in on Caitlin in a while. I guess she's covering some recent military ads or something that she thinks make the military look weak. So let's take a look.
party that cried for 4 years that Donald Trump is a fascist is now using the military to intimidate people like you and me. I'm going to ask the question that every Republican is thinking, but has been too afraid to ask. What is even the point of us having a military anymore? The reason I ask this...
Agree. Abolish the military. Hashtag defund the military. No, Caitlin, the point of having a military ideally would be to defend one's country against outside threats. Unfortunately, in the United States, we take preemptive action quite often, which ends up leading to negative outcomes for the vast majority of people on both sides, and then, unfortunately, a few people profit, and it's just bad for everyone.
Question is because it seems like the military no longer serves to protect and defend the Constitution. The military serves to protect the Democrat Party.
Did she think this literally 5 months ago when Trump was president? No? Weird. Quick turnaround, huh?
And their woke ideology. The institution that...
Because when I think woke ideology, I think the United States military. Nothing's woker than taking a drone and destroying a wedding or hospital. Pyromancer says, but Hannah, we're gonna need that military for when the Canadians invade. I guess so. Nick says, bitch, you hate the Constitution, so STFU, poop girl.
We've been told for centuries has fought for our freedom, has now turned our soldiers into pawns to fight for their communist agenda.
Communist agenda? Is that on the bingo card? Also, Caitlin, I don't know who told you that the military fights for your freedom, but they were lying to you. Sorry. Mike Mack says, Caitlin versus Peter on who owns the military. Oh, I'd love to see that. And then Nova4 says, yas, drone queen. Verbutin, thanks for subscribing for 4 months.
And it doesn't seem like our leaders in Washington, D.C. have any interest in taking our armed forces seriously. We went from having the most elite military force that once flexed its might in 2 world wars.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Again, with the World War II and World War I fetishism. It's been almost a century, Caitlin. Get over it. Neither of us were alive. Your parents and my parents weren't even alive. Chill out.
To literal social justice warriors that want to turn our soldiers into promiscuous gender-fluid communists.
Yep, that's the dream. Gender-fluid communist military.
It begins
Mandatory pride parades every week.
In California, with a little girl raised by 2 moms. Although I had a fairly typical childhood, I also marched for equality.
I would imagine videos like this, and we also saw something similar with, oh gosh, was it the FBI? No, was it the CIA or the FBI? I don't remember, but recently there was also a recruitment video from the CIA or the FBI, which also went into a lot of identity stuff. CIA, thank you. Where it was like a woman who I think was Hispanic, and she was like, oh, I did all these things, and I have a daughter or a son, this is all the stuff I do. And I imagine a lot of this is coming out of the fact that young people who are the primary recruits for the armed forces and the intelligence communities have a pretty negative view of the United States military, considering what the United States military has been up to literally our entire lives, and even before then, but you know, it's just more out in the open than it ever has been. So I imagine the view of the United States military is profoundly negative amongst younger generations like Gen Z and even, I don't want to say Gen Alpha because I think they're like 10 years old right now, but Gen Z and younger millennials see the military as a pretty not great thing, and I imagine they're trying to turn that around by involving things that younger people do tend to like, which is like, oh, gay rights, like, hey, isn't that a good thing? So they're trying to change the military's image by saying, we're not a giant force of destruction that goes around and imposes American will through the might of our military. We're just made up of individual people like you who march in pride parades. And that's, it's a recruiting technique. Towing24 says, Caitlin, unless you want the army to create regime change to depose the genocidal maniacs in Israel, then shut your mouth. Pyromancer says, maybe she needs to watch the cringy army ad that passes off roles as video game classes. Oh god, that must exist, doesn't it? Yikes. Princess Amelia says, the military wants you to know that no matter who you are and no matter who your parents are, you too can support American imperialism. And Mike Max says, didn't she want the Trump to use the military to stop protests in Chicago and close down colleges? Yeah, she's a fascist. I should say she's a monarchist, or as I like to call that, a fascist. Tucker White says, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, it doesn't matter if you're black, gay, or even a smurf. If you all have the upper body strength and need for college money, you too can kill brown people in the Middle East for the glory of Lockheed Martin. I mean, the glory of freedom. And Stephen J. Neptune Man says, I doubt Caitlin was happy the U.S. won World War II.
I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age, but she tapped into my family's pride, eventually standing at the altar to marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class, and after meeting with an army recruiter, I found it.
Ugh, she was the top of her class and then she went into the military? That's sad.
A way to prove my inner strength, and maybe shatter.
She did the 3-point superhero landing. Because being in the military is the same as being an Avenger, right, kids? You like that, right? Like Thor playing Fortnite? You want to floss? We're hip with the kids, aren't we?
Some stereotypes along the way.
Wow, what strong woman wouldn't want to join the army and kiss girls after seeing that? And oddly, these anti-fascist heroes not only want our military to have complete allegiance to our dear leader, but also want...
It's generally good for the United States military to listen to the commander-in-chief, since that is the constitutional role of the president, one of them to be the commander-in-chief of the military. Yeah, as long as they're not giving unlawful orders.
Enlistment to be based on race, which sounds a lot like what this really bad dude in Germany once did.
Reminder that Caitlin Bennett doesn't like democracy, and I don't mean that as an accusation, I mean that as a statement of fact. She has literally talked about how she thinks democracy was a bad idea and that women shouldn't get the right to vote. Nick says, again, shit girl, you wanted the military to have complete alliance to Trump. And then Pyromancer says, the cringe army ad in question. Oh no. And then Tucker White says, I won't lie, if I wasn't a jaded, cynical bastard, that cutie patootie might have swayed me. Oh god, don't fall for that shit. Logarth says, and then, a year in, she gets redacted and her CO ignores it and she washes out due to PTSD after her redacted stays assigned at the post and lies about her on reviews as retribution. Yikes. Oh yeah, I think I did see this. Healer. Yeah. Yikerinos.
This latest story that's been breaking the news this week has been just the tip of the iceberg. Just a few days ago, a lieutenant colonel in the Space Force blew the whistle.
The Space Force. Daddy Sume says, unironically, the Dune series has those women soldiers in a solely women's peacekeeping religious police force army. The God Emperor of Dune has them use their sexuality and motherly nature to be better peacekeeping forces than testosterone-driven dude bros, communist, promiscuous, gender-fluid soldiers. He also uses them to grab genetic seed from the bloodlines he wants to add to his breeding program. Dune sounds dumb. No offense.
On the increased prevalence of Marxist ideology being put.
Marxist ideology, aka, hey, maybe people get treated differently based on their race, unfortunately. Marxism.
Pushed by the US military. And guess what happened to him? He got fired. The story just broke on military.com on May 15th, and his termination probably proves him right.
If I get fired from McDonald's for saying that McDonald's is made out of people, that must mean I was right. It can't just be that I was spreading false information. It must be that the Big Macs are made of people. Logarth says, Dune is the best kind of 1960s sci-fi dumb, and Daddy Sume says, it's not. I'm leaving out a lot of context. If you say so.
Before I dive more into this, I wanted to remind you guys real quick that for just $5 a month, you can gain access to my private Facebook group when you sign up at patreon.com/CaitlinBennett, or receive other cool perks such as autographed photos in the mail from yours truly. The story from military.com starts, a commander of a U.S. Space Force unit tasked with detecting ballistic missile launches has been fired for comments made during a podcast promoting his new book, which claims Marxist ideologies are becoming prevalent in the U.S. military.
So he's an active duty military individual who decided to not only espouse political opinions in public, but also wrote a book about them? That seems like a bad idea. Oh god, I'm getting follow-botted. I hate that shit. Crizia with 50 bits says, Dune isn't really dumb, it's just a bit of a weird commentary on civilization's tendency towards feudalism. Okay. Fish Speaker, this is from Dune, I guess. The Fish Speakers were an army created during the rule of God Emperor Leto Atreides II. Nope. See, that's the kind of shit that immediately turns me off to your sci-fi universe. Pyromancer says, donate enough and a turd encased in resin.
Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lohmeyer, commander of 11...
I hate getting follow-botted, though, because I do like to keep track of how many followers I have, and that always inflates the number for like a week until the bots get removed, and they always get removed, which is good. But it always throws off my ability to see how I'm actually doing. I hate that shit.
11th Space Warning Squadron at Buckley Air Force Base, Colorado.
What's a follow bot? Basically, they're bots on basically any service, but they also exist on Twitch that are fake accounts that people pay to follow people. But in order to hide the fact that they're only following accounts that like pay them, they'll go and they'll have their bot accounts also follow other random streamers to make it seem more random who they're following. So occasionally, if you're relatively high up in the listing on whatever category you're on, like I tend to be decently on Just Chatting up there because I get like 300 to 400 people watching usually. Sometimes I'll get hit with it and I'll all of a sudden get like several hundred follows all at once. How can I tell? It's because it's hundreds of follows all in the span of like 3 seconds. Which just does not happen naturally. I guess unless you were rated by someone who had, you know, tens and tens of thousands of followers or people watching. But yeah, it's just annoying. Tucker White says, Caitlin, anybody can make unproven claims. I'll do it right now. Hey, everyone. Did you know that Hannah once dropped a nuclear bomb on a planet in the Andromeda Galaxy because her date stiffed her on the bill? Don't tell people that. I told that to you in confidence. Nenekins, thanks for 100 bits, and Pyromancer says, just realize I'm stream boss for once and I'm getting chunked by bots. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Was relieved from his post Friday by Lieutenant General Stephen Whitting, the head of Space Operations Command, over a loss of confidence in his ability to lead, Military.com has exclusively learned. The article goes on, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on February 5th ordered all military services to observe one-day stand-down on extremism in the ranks. As part of his stand-down, Lohmeyer said he was given a booklet that cited the Jan 6 riot as an example of extremism, but did not mention the civil disobedience and destruction of property that took place following the death of George Floyd.
Because there are known military members, both veterans and active duty military personnel who were involved in January 6th. That's why they're talking about that as an example.
Lohmeyer also accused the Pentagon press secretary of saying that there are too many white pilots. How is that not racist? Can you imagine if he was being accused of saying there are too many black pilots? But because they say it about white pilots, that makes it a-okay. For the military...
Because they're talking about there not being enough. Again, we all make fun of the more female drone pilots. But, like, that's basically what they're talking about here is they think that like certain groups of people are being advantaged in some way. I don't know the numbers on that. Colston says the author of Dune was a horny dude. The final arc of the series is the protagonists fighting against a matriarchal empire that enslaves their populations through making them addicted to sex. That's bizarre.
To even look at their ranks in terms of color and not in terms of who can do the best job at defending our
That's the point that they're making, though, Caitlin, is that they think it's being advantaged towards white people as opposed to the best candidates for the job. That's the whole point.
Nation when it comes under attack is so disgusting and disrespectful to all the soldiers who have died on the battlefield, and a huge slap in the face to the
Caitlin, you literally want the monarchy to return. I do not care what you think about the military because you don't actually care about them.
the taxpayers who just want the military to be able to protect our country. But clearly, that's not what the military is for anymore. The fact that this line of thinking is penetrating our military should frighten all of you. And I have a lot that I want to say about this, but as you know, I'm very limited with what I can say here on social media, so head on over to libertyhangout.tv if you want to see my full, uncensored opinions about this, along with hundreds of other episodes where I talk about topics too spicy for YouTube.
We still gotta look at that at some point. It's probably gonna be real bad. Stephen J. Neptune Man says, kinda sad that in May of 2021, Poop Girl still proudly displays her Trump picture and hat, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty cringe. Tucker White says, Caitlin, 2 things. Number 1, that's an asinine conflation. 2, people were arrested for looting and rioting. You can find police records of it. What do you not understand about that? Woman in a recorded video that I'm yelling at while watching a live stream. Daddy Sume says, not quite. He actually showed how pointless it was because they turned into addicts and were useless eventually. They could never achieve the next high and were strung out. Yeah, this sci-fi does not sound good to me. One Speedy Yoshi says, Poop Girl, stop being a Nazi Holocaust denier challenge.
The article continues, the beginning chapters of his book explore the history and foundation of the U.S. and how critical race theory, a study of how race and racism impact or are impacted by social and economic power structures and institutions, plays a role. The diversity, inclusion, and equity industry and the trainings we are receiving in the military is rooted in critical race theory, which is rooted in Marxism. Meyer said, adding it should be seen as a
Define Marxism Challenge 2021.
a warning sign. So the types of lessons your kids are receiving in school about how white people need to feel ashamed of their heritage and pay reparations.
That's literally not what gets taught to children. Tucker White says citation needed, and Daddy Sume says it's a minor thing. It only comes into play at one point and it's not really important. I'd suggest giving it a look, Hannah. It's honestly really good sci-fi, if only just reading the first 3 books.
For crimes they never committed are now being taught to the military? Why does this have any place on the battlefield? How is that supposed to help them do their job? Unless, of course, their job is now to view people like us as their enemies instead of actual terrorists. And
Caitlin, stop invading the Capitol and you'll stop being treated like a terrorist. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about, you know, the kind of people you'll like. Tucker White says, and you're just taking these claims at face value, Caitlin.
That's why all of this is so freaky. Critical race
Hey, Cass.
theory contributes nothing to their jobs unless it becomes part of their job. The story concludes, leaders may be afraid if they don't get on board with diversity training. They will face scrutiny or might not get promoted, he said.
Oh, I guess you should probably do your job then. Princess Amelia says, why do you have so many Dune fans in your chat, Hannah? I don't know.
Adding that liberal ideas are welcomed, whereas ideas from more conservative voices are criticized or silenced.
Have you considered that conservative ideas are stupid and bad?
And what's sad about this entire situation is that conservatives are the ones who support the military.
Not really. You support them as like a tool, but you don't really give a shit about veterans at all. And I don't like the military. I don't like the military as it currently functions. But I do think people who are veterans deserve health care and all the psychological support that they need. But Republicans keep voting against that stuff, so... Caitlin also, again, like I've said, is anti-democracy, so I don't know why she even pretends to give a shit about the military protecting our freedoms, because she doesn't even like our freedoms. She wants to return to a monarchy. Literally. Tucker White says, someone want to tell her about the days when black people were segregated even in the military? Seriously, the Pentagon was built with segregation in mind. Yeah, they have, like, double bathrooms. Morak Ben Eoth says, listen, Dune art is good. Or, Dune is art. God Empress Marie has spoken. Ugh.
And yet, they're the ones either being told they have no place or that they have to be silent. But the bigger implication of this story is something that we already knew before this whistleblower even came out. And that is that the police and the military no longer serve to protect you, but to intimidate and persecute you for disagreeing with Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi.
Amazing that the entirety of the police and military completely switched political alignment on January 20th at noon. That's impressive coordination.
The party that cried for 4 years that Donald Trump is a fascist is now using the military to intimidate people like you and me.
No, not a thing. The military being taught, hey, consider the impact that history has had on racial relations between people in the United States and in the military in particular, is not you being demonized unless you know you're a racist piece of shit, which maybe she does, in which case, maybe stop being that.
It's been 4 months since January, and the National Guard is still in Washington, D.C. to...
Yeah, and since January, some other person tried to drive a car into some area. I don't even remember what it was. One Speedy Yoshi says, does someone want to tell her the police and the military never wanted to serve us? Only rich and white people. I'm a black, gay, autistic. They don't want to serve me. And then Tucker White says, did she forget that Trump threatened to turn the military on Americans just last year? She didn't forget. She's a fascist. Hydrate. Okay.
Try and scare Trump supporters out of coming to the city, and Democrats are trying to make their occupation permanent. I don't know about you guys, but I'm old enough to remember when the Democrats called Trump a dictator for requesting the National Guard in DC for a few days when Black Lives Matter was burning churches, tearing down statues, and attacking Secret Service in front of the White House. But hey, now that it's this guy that's the president,
and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again.
A permanent military dictatorship is cool and progressive. And while we're on the topic of the seriousness of the military, remember when the Army lowered their fitness standards to help more women make it into the military? And conservatives criticized this for being goofy? Well, now that it's been 7 months since they rolled out their new standards, let's check back in for an update to see how the ladies have been doing. Nearly half of female soldiers still failing new Army fitness tests, while males pass easily.
I don't give a shit about military politics like this.
So I guess lowering their standards didn't help that much. But I also love how this demonstrates that men and women are clearly different, contrary to what the military will probably soon teach their soldiers. But hey, who cares about standards when the few women who do make it through boot camp can now have ponytails, nail polish, and earrings? I love it. That is so progressive. But
what's your issue with it, Caitlin? Like, how is that hurting them is the question I'm basically saying. Again, I don't really care about inter-military politics outside of course, like, situations of assault or whatever. That's a big deal. But, like, stuff like this, I don't really care. Why are you against that? Aren't you usually, like, pro-femininity or whatever, and you consider traditionally feminine things to be feminine? So would you not think that's good, or... Pyromancer says it hurts them because change bad.
Until the military lets men have ponytails, nail polish, and earrings, I'm just going to assume that they're...
Okay, then do that. I don't care.
...bigoted and transphobic. And those are the worst things to be.
Being bigoted and transphobic are definitely not good things to be. Those and racism are pretty high up there. Yeah.
Any military generals are watching this, please do that. It will definitely make our military be taken more seriously by our enemies. They'll be
I don't really give a shit what ISIS or some Russian soldier somewhere thinks of the United States military. I don't care.
quivering in their boots when they see our brave men running at them in high heels on the battlefield.
Ah, yes, the very realistic standard of wearing high heels on the battlefield. Logarth says, that scared the heck out of Russians, at least. You're probably right. Lord Necro JZ says, I'm really not a fan of non-veterans commenting on military standard. Yeah. Pyromancer says, because Trump certainly made other countries take us more seriously.
So now that we've covered all that, I want to ask the same question I did in the beginning. What is even the point of us having a military anymore? So long as the Democrats are in power, it will never be the same military you've known and loved. It will never merit the same respect that our troops of old used to. It's sad to have to admit, but not only is our country gone, but so are the institutions we once held sacred.
All right, you heard it here first. Based Caitlin Bennett says defund the military. Pyromancer says, because Trump certainly oh, I already read that one. Sorry.
As you guys can see, as I
Is that it? That's the end of the video.
promised you, we were back out on the road, doing interviews, talking to people, but I need you guys to support me at patreon.com/Caitlin Bennett.
Jesus Christ, Caitlin.
My name is...
Even by Caitlin's standards, that video felt a little lazy. What are you gonna do? What's the name of this stream? Tim Pool, Liberty, Hangout, and Courting. So I gotta do the Courting and Tim Pool. Okay. Pyromancer says... Nothing like another quality 10-minute vid to run an ad. And Daddy Sume says, love you, Hannah. Sorry, I'm trash. It's fine. So we gotta do the Quartering and we gotta do Tim Pool. Gosh, dang it. And then whatever else. Why did I watch Heels v Babyface when I knew I was gonna have to do the Quartering too? It's just double loading on this bullshit. Daddy Sume says, savage. She doesn't even try and say I'm not trash. You're not trash. Okay, I guess let's do the Quartering. He's got another Brie Larson video. Surprise, surprise. So let's check it out.
When I was out in that storm, I was real worried. You were worried. It got me thinking, you know, I might never get the chance.
What? Tell me.
Oh god, please let this be true, just because the Chuds will lose their minds. Logarth says, U.S. military 1.5 or 4 million active, 800,000 reserves, 165,000 deployed. All of these people changed over 2 months of there being a new president. Yep. I want nothing more than for Brie Larson to be Luke Skywalker's wife. I'm not even the biggest fan of Star Wars, but my god, I'd be so happy just because it's gonna make the Quartering's head explode.
Pardon me, sir, but what the f*** is going on here? I don't approve of this at all. This is rather disgusting.
Honestly, the Quartering casting him and his ilk as an annoying C-3PO that no one wants to deal with, getting in the way of everyone's fun, is oddly appropriate.
What a wonderful day. I couldn't possibly have
the contrast on his camera is set so high.
foreseen just how amazing today, Tuesday, May 18th, was gonna be until I received an interesting tip that Star Wars is forever doomed. As you know, not even the amazing range and comedic timing and general likability that Brie Larson brings, not even that will be able to save it. Yet a new report is saying that Brie Larson has been cast to play Luke Skywalker's wife.
Oh, for the love of God, please, please do it.
While also making demands for more screen time from Marvel. Love it. I love it. Look, I don't think that there's enough Brie Larson movies out there to watch. I want to be able to fill up like an entire weekend of just back to back to back to back Brie Larson movies, and TV projects I suppose would be fine too. This via Jack Posobiec. Brie Larson, with a history of anti-male comments, reportedly cast as
a history of anti-male comments. Those comments being, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if there were more women and like people other than white guys in the movie review community?" And then the quartering and everyone like him lost their goddamn minds.
Luke Skywalker's wife, Mara Jade, after failing to be cast in the Star Wars movies. Now, we do know she did try out. I don't think it's any big deal that a Hollywood person tries out for a movie and doesn't get it. I would argue that there's probably many.
Jack Posobiec was an early adopter of Pizzagate, by the way. I thought his name sounded familiar.
Roles that most people try out for and don't get. This is via Inside the Magic. Brie Larson reportedly cast as Luke Skywalker's wife. Now, this isn't a new rumor. This has actually been around for a very long time. MCU star Brie Larson has made no secret of her love for the Star Wars franchise. The Captain Marvel actress previously confirmed that she auditioned for all 3 Disney sequel trilogy films, but failed to make the cut. Now it seems Larson could be getting her wish. A new report indicates that the MCU fan favorite is in serious talk.
Again, I don't know. I don't like when he laughs at like fan favorite. Like, Jeremy, just because you don't like Captain Marvel doesn't mean other people don't like Captain Marvel. I went and I saw Endgame in person when that came out, and when Captain Marvel came on the screen for the first time, people in the audience were like, "Woo!" Random audience people like these characters because the movies tell them to like them. It's that simple. And I like Brie Larson fine as Captain Marvel. I hope there's better writing in the sequel, but like I think the base is there to build something more entertaining. Although I did like the first Captain Marvel fine. It's not in my top 10 or anything of Marvel movies, but it's enjoyable. But like this idea that he has that the general public hates her is so warped from him living in this echo chamber of just like mid-40s, mid-30s right-wing dudes on the internet. He has such a warped vision of how other people see these characters.
Talks with Disney and Lucasfilm to play Luke Skywalker's wife, Mara Jade Skywalker, as the Star Wars universe continues to expand. Now, this is just a rumor, and it's not being reported by any of the larger type sites. Inside the Magic often quotes, "We got this covered" as a source, which often quotes, "Dude, trust me," as sources, and is usually...
Well, as long as you can pull a 12-minute video about it and throw in some ads, that's what matters, Jeremy.
Wildly inaccurate, but there may be just enough smoke here to consider that there is some fire here. Ever since the iconic Jedi Knight, the CGI version of Mark Hamill during episode 6, Return of the Jedi, made a cameo appearance in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's The Mandalorian Season 2 finale. There have been rumors about Star Wars Legend's wife becoming canon. It would definitely fit the mold for Disney.
See, I would find that to be almost... Lord Necro JZ with 25 bits says, has he uploaded anything new to his TikTok? Maybe he posts the next wholesome cleanse. I haven't checked. See, this I would find to be really weird as a choice if they were going to do something like this. I don't think they would do, and I could be wrong, but I don't think they would choose to do a character that's like a Legends character that's so intrinsically linked with an original trilogy character like Luke Skywalker, because it would be basically saying, okay, we need to include Mark Hamill de-aged at some point in this, and while as a cameo in The Mandalorian, that's one thing, and it can be done relatively quickly, it almost feels like Luke would have to be a reoccurring character or like an important future character in a show or movie with this person, and I don't think they want to do that if they can choose to do something else. Like, I could see them casting Brie Larson as someone else in the Star Wars movies. They probably will at some point. Disney kind of has their stable of regular actors and actresses that they hire, and they kind of stay within that realm because they know that they have a good working relationship with those people. But just this specific role, I don't know. Feels a little weird. They're also talking about having Sebastian Stan play Luke Skywalker for a Mandalorian spinoff. Ooh. People would not like that. I'm not necessarily against it or anything. He actually does look similar enough that you could probably do something, but it's kind of like the Solo prequel, you know? Except even weirder because it would be Luke, but like a midquel. I don't know.
You know, an opportunity for them to replace a man with a woman would be right up their alley.
But she'd be playing Luke Skywalker's wife. That's not replacing a man with a woman. What?
It's also interesting to note that Timothy Zahn's Star Wars Expanding Universe Thrawn trilogy novelization, Mara Jade is connected to Grand Admiral Thrawn, the blue-skinned villain, which was introduced in the Mandalorian saga when Ahsoka Tano, Rosario Dawson, and Din Djarin, Pedro Pascal, teamed up to defeat the Corvus magistrate Morgan Elsbeth. He is expected to play a major role in Mandalorian Season 3 and interconnected spin-offs, Ahsoka and Rangers of the New Republic, so certainly would not be surprising if Mara Jade showed up in the current canon sooner than later. Now, I don't think that Brie Larson probably has time to be filming Captain Marvel 2, The Marvels, and this does seem to fly in the face of Disney reports that Disney has lost confidence in her.
Those reports are bullshit. Stop believing fan fiction, Jeremy.
People think Disney lost confidence in her because they literally, and maybe not Brie Larson, but the Captain Marvel character. Look, if you look at Captain Marvel, it is a movie that should have come out after Endgame. It was very clearly thrown in.
Why?
Where Black Widow should have existed. Black Widow should have came out where Captain Marvel came out, but Disney wanted to force
Porque no los dos? You could have done both.
Captain Marvel on everybody, and therefore this is what we got. They crammed it in, pretended it was required reading to watch.
What do you mean? What? Pretended it's required reading? It's just a movie in the Marvel franchise. What are you talking about?
Endgame, and Brie Larson's Captain Marvel was in about 80 seconds of Endgame. This is
okay. She was in a decent bit of it. You could probably say the same about a lot of characters. There's like 30 or 40 Marvel superheroes at this point.
The first time her name has been connected to popular Star Wars legend character, fans have previously called for Larson and another Marvel actress, Elizabeth Olsen, to take on the role of Luke Skywalker's wife. I don't think anybody... I think that would be a pretty deep lore character to have. If you can have Luke Skywalker's wife, it probably couldn't be in The Mandalorian, given the... well, actually, what am I talking about? Yes, you could. So you could have Luke Skywalker's wife in The Mandalorian. I don't know if they would give... Maybe it's just a one-time, like a one-shot cameo. But look where consider the sources, right? We got this covered. Reportedly in talks to Lucasfilm and Mara Jade. Who are they citing as their source? Let's see. Nobody.
Why does Jeremy do this? Why does Jeremy go on stream and then on stream point out that the sources he's making the video about are non-existent? You're just making me think, and I'm not a fan of Jeremy, unironically, but like you're just making me think, why am I wasting my time watching this video? It's just you meandering through an article and then looking for a citation and then you don't find one and point out that this video is pointless. Like, why? Hydrate, will do.
Nobody?
Right, and if it's like a stream, I could sort of understand that too. If it's like on the fly, you're looking into something, like I understand that. But it's he pre-records his videos and he hires an editor. What is he doing?
No, we've heard from our sources this week. The same ones who told us Ahsoka Tano was going to appear in The Mandalorian Season 2 long before it happened, that Brie Larson is in discussion with Lucasfilm to play none other than Mara Jade. So maybe it is a reliable source. I suppose that we look into it, but again, it really hasn't, been confirmed by like Variety or the Hollywood Reporter. But then you see this as of this morning: Captain Marvel to lead the Avengers as Brie Larson asks MCU bosses challengers ready.
RepublicWorld.com. Hold on. RepublicWorld.com is an Indian right-wing news channel launched in 2017. Interesting. So this is the source he found on Brie Larson Marvel News? Okay. A right-wing news source from India. That's who I expect to get the scoop on Disney casting news. Towing24 says the only difference between Jeremy and Peter is Peter wouldn't get banned from Magic the Gathering unless he was tripping balls and confused someone for an alien.
Brie Larson's Captain Marvel may possibly lead the Avengers in the future Marvel Studios movies that will feature the Apex superhero team. No chance. Although this has also been reported. We've also talked about an all-female Avengers. I'm sure many things are on the table for Marvel. I just think after Phase 4, I mean, certainly the Marvel Cinematic Universe has absolutely peaked.
I mean, if that's your opinion, that's great. I can respect that. I really enjoyed WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But if you're over it, that's cool. I get it. They've done like 25 movies or something at this point. Kingdom Reborn 47, thanks for subscribing for 4 months, says, oh man, this is just like how relatable the epoch times are. A Colston with 20 bits says, geez, imagine being angry over nothing. Imagine the blood pressure readings on these chuds.
Just wildly uninterested in it. I had a speckle of interest in Black Widow. That's long dissipated since it's been years since the last Marvel movie came out. And I couldn't care less about Shang-Chi. I can care less about Shang-Chi because I care that amount about the Eternals. I don't really care about Loki on Disney Plus.
That's interesting. I think Loki looks great. I do actually think moving forward, I think the Eternals is going to struggle. I mean, I guess it depends on the ads and stuff they come out with, but like, I don't know anything about the Eternals, and I don't really care. It seems like it's just going to be sort of generic superhero stuff, which I know a lot of Marvel stuff is, but like, I don't even know the deal with the Eternals. Like, I understand they're godlike eternal beings or something, but they just look kind of generic. Does that make sense? And maybe the movie will come out and it'll be great. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. Just right now, I don't see anything about this that makes me interested. I don't know. Hopefully it's good. I didn't really give a shit about Guardians of the Galaxy before it came out either, so maybe there'll be some strong characterization and performances, and maybe the plot will be interesting. But, I don't know. I think if we're going to see any struggles, we're probably going to start seeing them in Eternals and maybe Shang-Chi. But even that, like Shang-Chi, it's like a singular character. I think the projects like Eternals, where it's trying to introduce you to like 8 new superheroes, I think people are going to get a little about it. But maybe I'm wrong.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was okay. Not great, okay. But also knowing the way that Marvel's going to continue to push politics in their stuff, I don't love it.
Politics. There are women and non-white people talking about non-straight white people things in my comic books. Hydrate? Okay.
You see the official synopsis. We talk about the Marvel star Brie Larson has reportedly reached out to Marvel head honcho Kevin Feige, as well as other people of considerable significance at Marvel Studios, in order to let them know that she would like to be the leader of Marvel Studios' Alpha Super Team.
See, that sounds like utter bullshit to me, because what actor or actress does that shit? I just don't see that happening.
The Avengers in the future Avengers movie. And again, we're sourcing We Got This covered. So let's take this with a grain of salt, but have some fun nonetheless, which maybe the portal reported such supposed development first. Through which portal reported letting Brie Larson lead the team may be the next logical step in Marvel Studios. Now, this, again, seems to fly.
Pick a number between 1 and 30 if you want a chance at Timeout Roulette. And Sushi Mom, you pick based on the number. Nick says, it's only politics if they disagree with me. Hashtag conservative logic. Mike Max says, the Eternals might deal with Thanos because Thanos is also an Eternal, as well in the comics, and the Eternals are descended from early humans who were experimented on by Celestials, whom also created the mutants and the deviants. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's good.
Fly directly
Doodleburb, you must have picked the number because you got timed out.
in the face of not only changing the title of Captain Marvel to The Marvels.
They didn't change it. They just didn't have an official title yet. It's like when they announced like Ant-Man and the Wasp, it wasn't called Ant-Man and the Wasp. It was called Ant-Man 2, and then later they changed it to Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're calling Captain Marvel 2 Marvels because it not only includes Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, but it also includes Monica Rambeau's character, Spectrum, who also goes by Captain Marvel sometimes in the comics, or Photon, and it's going to include Miss Marvel as well, who's getting her own Disney Plus show. So, it's involving 3 characters who go by Captain Marvel in the comics. It's called the Marvels. So they're like a team in this.
Don't underestimate the power or the reasoning behind that change. If they felt extremely confident in Captain Marvel as a character, they would not be calling this movie The Marvels.
That doesn't make sense, Jeremy, because it's still intrinsically associated with Captain Marvel, and in honesty, it requires a greater understanding of the character that Captain Marvel exists and who she is to even understand that this movie is about her and people similar to her. Like, how can you not? Captain Marvel is the 23rd highest grossing movie of all time. It did fine.
They would be calling it Captain Marvel 2, or Captain Marvel and Friends, Captain Marvel and Kamala Khan, or whatever. You know,
I'm glad Jeremy isn't in charge of titling things. He's not very good.
I don't know. One of the reasons cited by the portal is her comic book counterpart, Captain Marvel, has been seen leading the Avengers at one point in source material. The second reason why it seems more plausible to the proposition of the writer of the aforementioned news piece is that Captain Marvel is unquestionably one of the strongest Avengers in the Marvel superhero roster. Well, I mean, you could argue that the strongest Marvel superhero does not lead the Avengers as it stands now. And I don't think that this... I think this is... Okay, I think this is all baloney sausage. I actually think that Disney is losing faith in the Captain Marvel character.
Which is why we're making a big budget sequel where we're not only including Captain Marvel as the main character, but also linking it with our hit Disney Plus shows, WandaVision, with Monica Rambeau showing up as Spectrum, and also our upcoming Disney Plus show, Miss Marvel, with the introduction of one of the biggest superheroes of the last 15 years, Kamala Khan. That's why. What? Why would they be cross-promoting so many different things with this if they had no confidence in the project?
Not necessarily in Brie Larson. And I don't think that they would put the entire franchise on her shoulders. If they did, it would be amazing for this channel because the movies would just be terrible and they would continue to just be an utter embarrassment of the box office.
Again, the first one is the 23rd highest grossing movie of all time. Captain Marvel made like $1.38 billion. It did fine.
But
get woke. Make over $1 billion at the box office. Cha-ching.
Modern day cinema allows companies like Disney to hide these type of films.
Hey, Cassie.
Hide their flops now. We have to wait till like annual reports come out or quarterly reports, and then they're usually buried inside of that. So, ultimately, do I think, Daniel Rickman generally is a pretty good source saying that, you know,
Oh, Cassie.
has she reached out to Marvel to let them know she wants to lead?
She gets jumpy now when I try and pet her because I've been having to put steroid cream on her bottom because of excessive licking that was happening for a while. So she gets kind of jumpy when I go to pet her sometimes now. It makes me sad. Towing24 says, I hope this makes 2 billion, then watch Jeremy have a nervous breakdown on screen.
The Avengers making demands there. I believe that's possible, certainly. I don't think that will ever happen.
Well, thank you for trying to raid Goth Geek Gaming. People go try and check out Goth Geek Gaming here on Twitch.
I don't think, you know, the character is, first of all, the character is not well known.
Okay, most of the characters in the Marvel movies weren't well known to the general public prior to the movies. No one gave a shit about Iron Man. No one gave a shit about Captain America. No one cared about Thor. No one cared about the Guardians of the Galaxy or Ant-Man or any of these characters. I think the most well-known characters probably were the Hulk because of the TV show and Spider-Man, which is owned by Sony, so they didn't even get to do Spider-Man until much later.
You know, you could have A-Force in the MCU. That might be a thing. I don't know. I don't buy it. As far as Brie Larson getting some, you know, cameo in as Luke Skywalker's wife, could absolutely happen. She's already obviously in the Disney family. She's expressed a love of Star Wars. She probably really does like Star Wars. And she's kind of the it girl right now with Disney. So that's possible. Although I'm taking all of this with a giant pinch of salt. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Every time, Jeremy's videos on Brie Larson have fallen into such a pattern in that, how do I put this? He'll have some clickbait title like, oh, Brie Larson is gonna be Luke Skywalker's wife. She's the new star of the Star Wars. The Star Wars is the best or the worst or whatever. And then you click the video, and then half the video is him questioning the sources, and then him talking a little bit about what it might mean if it were true. And then at the end of the video, he goes, well, this is probably untrue, but you know, whatever. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for clicking the ads. End of video. It's just, like, not cool. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. I think I said Tim Pool, so we gotta cover Tim Pool. That sucks. One Speedy Yoshi says, this man claims to run an advertising business and knows nothing about advertising since he constantly shits on TAHT. TAHT. What's TAHT? Yeah, he said he wants Brie Larson movies to do bad because it'd be good for his channel. He's aware of the grift. He's not doing it accidentally. Okay, so let's see what Tim Pool has to say. He's once again stoking the fires of Civil War because I guess his click-through rate hasn't been high enough lately. So let's see him discuss Oregon counties trying to secede from Oregon and Texans trying to secede from the United States, which is a very serious, real thing, okay? Take a shot if he compares it to the idea of Brexit.
Culture war gradually became a cold civil war with some sporadic violence. Many fear.
Right into it, huh? Okay. The culture war is the new civil war. I'm excited for those reenactments. It'll be like, you know how Civil War reenactments require going outside? Future Civil War reenactments will involve wearing ratty t-shirts and pretending to stream online and shit posting memes, okay? That's the future that Civil War II reenactors want.
The potential for a hot civil war is right around the corner. And from this, there are an increasing number of people calling for secession or peaceful divorce.
That's not a thing that exists in the United States. This has been covered by what I like to call the Civil War. Pyromancer says Meme War Simulator 2050.
We don't want violence, so maybe we just agree to disagree and go our separate ways. It doesn't seem likely, but people are still trying. People
are stupid. Funny how that is. Mike Mack says, who is this going to win? Who is going to win? Texas with guns or government with nuke? These losers don't think. Hydrate? Okay.
Rural counties in Oregon that voted for Trump have voted to secede from the blue state and join Idaho. Now, that is not leaving the Union. It's just trying to find better local and federal representation. We've seen similar moves from northern Colorado and northern California saying, let's stay in the United States, but be part of a state that actually cares about us. Because certainly the people in Oregon, in the rural areas, don't want to be represented by Democrat cities like, Portland or Bend.
We don't want the majority of people in the state to determine what we get to do. One Speedy Yoshi says, I live in Idaho. No, you can't sit with us, Oregon. And then D-Zug says, look at these assholes wearing a beanie when it isn't even cold. One Speedy Yoshi says, Idaho doesn't care about you or anyone. Idaho sucks. Someone save me. I'm sorry.
But of course, they are. There still are others that are outright saying, nah, we should just straight up leave the United States. In the less serious, we have the Michigan GOP
Neither is serious.
Co-chair saying Michigan should secede to escape Governor Whitmer. Perhaps nothing more than hyperbole, but the sentiment is still there, and a lot of people probably agree. Maybe it was just tongue-in-cheek. But we do have the movement in Texas. Texit supporters push for proposal to come up in special session after failing to get a hearing. Fredericksburg Republican Rep. Kyle Biderman's proposal to let Texans vote on whether the state should secede failed to receive a committee hearing.
I'm shocked. Overthought says, so weird he has this Civil War boner, considering that if it ever happened, neither side would want him. What in their heads do they think would happen if Texas legitimately, if like the governor and the state representatives of Texas all agreed, we're gonna state senators and everything, like, we're gonna secede. Do you think the United States, the federal government, is just gonna say, oh yeah, all that infrastructure in Texas and port access? Cool, have fun, guys, see you later. We had a whole war over this. No. Mike Mack says, this is the most non-American American move, and Daddy Sume says, Biden superhero name, Biter Man.
And perhaps it failed because it's never going to happen. It's a
No
long shot.
shit.
The country is solidified. And while we may be destabilizing and maybe we'll fall apart, no one wants to let go of...
Again, their evidence for destabilization is that Donald Trump isn't the president. They're such petulant children.
Of anything at this point. It seems like right now, every 4 years, we're just having a mini civil war as it is, and nobody wants the...
Every 4 years, we keep having to have these elections. That's not very American, is it? I don't understand the right anymore.
Other to have the right to live as they so decide. Or perhaps it's better put, the Democrats won't let go. Now, we heard from the Boston Globe's reporting before the 2020 election that John Podesta had suggested the West Coast should secede from the Union if Donald Trump should win. And we've already heard, obviously, Texit supporters saying they want out. The destabilization, it's real, it's here. And simply because no one is willing to...
This is the peak, air quote, journalism, where you take insane comments from one or two people and then extrapolate it out as if it's like the current zeitgeist, so you write articles and make videos about it. I hate that.
Pursue it doesn't mean it won't happen when people approach each other and go at their throats anyway. Take a look at how the federal government is operating right now, especially with the pandemic. Joe Biden comes out only a few months ago and says we probably need more lockdowns, we probably need more masks.
Zozo Horror Show says, I'm late, just wanted to say you're lovely today. Thank you.
And it was strange because Texas, Florida, and many red states had already gotten rid of those restrictions.
And it went poorly. It went poorly. Now things are starting to get better because of widespread vaccine usage. But yeah, turns out reducing stuff like mask usage, not great.
Now the CDC comes out with their new mask guidelines. And already I'm just like, who are you talking to, federal government? California and New York? Apparently so.
Anyone who's not an idiot.
Then you take a look at what's happening in California and many cities with sanctuary immigration laws. saying they won't work with the federal government when it comes to immigration. They will protect illegal immigrants. But you need to understand, that gives them more voting power in Congress because the census does count non-citizens. That means California would have more seats than they should in Congress and more electoral votes. Not by many. I think it's like 1, but that's 1. That takes power away from other areas. Well,
boy, it's almost like we should have representation where it's not based on that sort of thing, and we just let you know what, actually no, I don't want to get into this right now. I just don't like the Senate, which is the opposite of what I was saying. Sorry, I got into a mode. D-Zug with 100 bits says, I'm a Texan and I don't want out. Well, I kind of want out of Texas at this point because I am, oh god, there's a thing over it, because of the anti-trans and abortion legislatures. There we go.
Well, recently, because of failed policy, a lot of people have moved around, so maybe this is just another period of tumult and the U.S. will be fine. Or perhaps the things that Joe Biden is doing are so disastrous.
Guy who cheerleaded Donald Trump for 4 years talks about how Biden is going to destabilize the United States to civil war. He's a centrist, though, guys, remember.
People will finally snap. People have talked about secession before. The Greater Idaho movement has been around for a while. But the things we're seeing, rising gas prices, food shortages, failed policy, Joe Biden giving out more money, this means the federal government is basically taking the resources from the working class in red states and giving it to blue state individuals who are unemployed.
Blue states give more money to the federal government than red states. Red states take more than they give. The biggest and most profitable economy in the country is California, you stupid beanie asshole.
You cannot sustain a system like that because sooner or later somebody working at a steel mill is going to be like, why am I working for you to sit on your butt and do nothing?
It's such a fucking disingenuous lie. Red states take more in federal aid than blue states. Red states put in less than blue states. Shady Shroomy says, my doomsday cult is going to get it right this year, guys, all right?
Which brings me to the main story. 7 rural counties in Oregon want to join Idaho. Oregon wouldn't lose much. They'd still have their 2 senators, and the congressmen in these areas are probably already Republicans, so perhaps it makes a lot of sense, and perhaps it's a move we need to make before everything falls apart. Before we read the story, make sure you go to timcast.com, click the members only button, and sign up. You can sign up with Stripe or PayPal. Sign up to help protect my work and allow us to expand. We've got a bunch of new shows coming. Of course, we've launched the vlog. We've got Timcast IRL. And we've got entirely new podcasts on the horizon. Exclusive access to our members in favor of the idea last year. The ballot measures called on officials in each county to start considering the move and are the first step of the Greater Idaho movement, which aims to expand the state of Idaho to include rural Oregon and part of California. The activists behind the group say Oregon's government does not represent the conservative values of...
We want to gerrymander a state into existence because we don't like that we're a minority. Okay? Seems like a weird Republican safe space to me, but do you?
Much of the state, and that none of the Democrats in the state legislature represent a rural area. Quote, this is why Oregon passes laws that kill industries in eastern, central, and southern Oregon. They don't protect us from rioters, forest arsonists, or school curricula.
Forest arsonists, huh? We're still going with that narrative? You think Antifa lit a bunch of wildfires? It really bolsters your position when you hold it up with insane conspiracy theories. Kathy7407 says, Hannah, I was inspired by you and Baja having a long-distance relationship, and know that I might have met the love of my life that way, but he's got some frustrating close-minded mindset that long-distance exchanges can't be real love. He's pushing 50. Do you think he'll ever change his mind? If he's 50, probably not. That's just my opinion, though. Nick says, F your conservative values.
That teach kids to hate Americans and Americanism. And they pass
Americanism?
laws.
What's Americanism? Can we define Americanism? Please, extrapolate.
That violate our conscience. We can't let our money support their system anymore. We are outnumbered. We don't have leverage.
I feel like if you actually look into the finances of these counties, they probably end up taking more out of the state and federal funds than they put into, ironically.
And things will continue to get worse, the website reads. Well, I wonder what would happen if the tax revenue from these areas stopped flowing to the big cities. Would they be...
I guarantee, based on the economics of rural versus urban areas, they'd be fine because more people live and work in urban areas and put money into the tax system than people from rural areas by the fact that there are fewer people living in rural areas. Really? This is like basic shit, Tim.
Be able to support their nonsense? Conservatives need to realize when the city...
Like, in these people's heads, do they think that cities are literally full of people in apartments just smoking crack all day and not working jobs? Like, why do they think people live in cities? For access to what? They go to cities because there's job opportunities there and industries there, usually in the information or service sector. Technology sometimes. Like, what? Do they think the only job that exists is if you go and work in a coal mine for 40 years and get the black lung? That's employment and everything else is just bullshit liberal work? Sky Comet Fallen says, an Americanism is any American idiosyncrasy, and Daddy Sume says, unironically, yes. Yikes.
Give money to the people in cities. They are taking it from you who produce.
He's just lying. He's just fucking lying. It's so weird.
And they say, but the cities are responsible for most of the GDP. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But what is that GDP? BuzzFeed in New York writing articles about Brad Pitt's...
I like the GDP unless it's things I don't like, then it doesn't count towards the GDP for some reason. It's literally that. He thinks the only jobs are if you die in a coal mine or die in a smelting accident at a steel mill. Those are the only official valid areas of work. Jesus Christ.
Junk? Sorry, I don't consider that actual production. I think
Tim Boole, who sits on his ass and reads articles written by other people and comments on them in his home, thinks someone writing for BuzzFeed is less productive than him. I would read a listicle about which Disney princess pizza I am than listen to Tim Pool for 5 fucking seconds. Jesus Christ, Tim.
Think that if you don't work to produce things like food, then you are not entitled to those things. But we've built an economy off of garbage nonsense. Could you imagine somebody becoming wealthy off of like putting a camera in their bedroom and ranting on the internet about their political opinions? Why should...
That's your job. That's your job. That's your job. That's literally what you are doing. It's also what I'm doing, but I'm not knocking that system. You are? This is you. You are doing this. What?
Those people be entitled to more resources.
Those people? You're describing you, Tim.
Than those who actually live in... You get the point I'm making. And I mean it.
Does he not understand? Does he legitimately... Is he that oblivious that he doesn't know that he just described himself? He can't be that dumb, right? There's no way he lacks that amount of self-awareness.
Now, I understand there's a lot of people who watch the work that I do. They value it, and they think it's important. But I do think it's very strange that our economy works this way. My business is growing and expanding. I get it. I do work hard.
Okay, so he is saying that he applies this to himself. Interesting.
But I think the workers who actually produce, who are in the steel mills, who are on the farms, are more entitled to resources than people who just spout on the internet.
Okay, but Tim, here's the thing. We live in an economy that you agree is good because of the market, I would imagine, based on your political stances. And when people are doing other things, maybe when they're smelting iron or whatever you think real work is, maybe they want to listen to something for entertainment. Maybe they listen to you. Maybe they listen to me. Maybe they listen to someone else. But if people are willing to take a product like our shows or whatever and listen to them, it takes us time to produce them. And if people are willing to pay us either through ad revenue by watching ads or direct patronage on Patreon or bits messages or whatever it happens to be, then you have a product that people are willing to buy. This is like the basics of markets. Entertainment or edutainment, whatever you want to call it, is a product, and we're spending time producing it. Overthought with 50-bit says, okay, it's confirmed. Tim is a vampire and he cannot see himself if you hold a mirror up to his face. And Daddy Sume says, I listened to podcasts while I was spending 3 hours making donuts at 3 a.m. F you, Tim. Right?
It's a complicated system. But that's why I think at the very least, it should be the right of the people who are working in these areas to choose who represents them.
They do already. They're just the minority in the state.
So the government is supposed to be. And if the states don't, then perhaps they should move to a different area. Now, Oregon's not going to let that happen. No, they want that sweet, sweet green coming from those rural areas. Insider says the likelihood of actually changing the state's borders is incredibly low and would require the Oregon and Idaho state legislatures, as well as the U.S. Congress, to approve, according to Oregon Public Broadcasting. The 7 counties that have voted in favor of the proposal, Lake, Grant, Baker, Malheur, Union, Sherman, and Jefferson, overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. Joe Biden won Oregon with 57% of the vote, largely driven by more heavily populated counties near Portland, Eugene, and Bend. Meanwhile, neighboring Idaho was a decisive victory for Trump, who won 64% of the votes in the state. My friends in these counties, do you think they will just let you walk away? Of course they...
You could move to the other state. And again, I'm not saying that as a legitimate piece of advice because I hate when everyone's like, well, why don't you just move? A lot of people can't move. Moving is an expense, and people can't afford to do that. They can't afford to find new work. They can't afford to actually have the expense of moving themselves there and purchasing a house or finding an apartment or whatever. I understand that. I'm not taking that as a serious thing. But I do find it ironic that right-wingers tend to be the kind of people who are like, if you don't like America, then you can get out. Now trying to literally change the borders of their state because they don't want to move. Seems weird.
They won't. They're robbing you, they are taxing you, and you have no representation.
Nope, they're represented. They're just the minority that's being represented. That's how that works.
Why would they give up their serfs? They live in the capital city, you in the outskirts, and you're doing labor for them. Why would they give up their serfs? They're not going to. You're not going to vote your way out.
He's doing an ironic taxation as slavery argument, so that's fun.
Out of this one, sorry. Greater Idaho's goal would involve about 3/4 of Oregon's land area to become part of Idaho. It calls for the situation a win-win for everyone in the state, saying the more urban northwest portion of the state would be free of low-income Trump voting counties. Hey, there you go. Idaho respects traditional morality and justice, and it doesn't get in the way of rural livelihoods. It has lower tax rate and a lower cost of living, the group said. We need to unite our neighbors around the idea of moving the border so that we can convince the state legislatures to stop holding our counties captive in a blue state. In a statement Wednesday,
we're captive because the majority of the people in the state don't agree with us politically.
A spokesperson for Greater Idaho told OPB the latest vote proves that rural Oregon wants out of Oregon. If we're allowed to vote for which government officials we want, we should be allowed to vote for which government we want as well, and they're correct. Our country is founded on the idea that you require the consent of the governed. When a large...
Yes, society as a whole, not necessarily individual people within that society, which I get into all the time on our Sovereign Citizen streams. Just because a very small amount of people are unhappy with the government doesn't mean that they have the right to overturn the government or fundamentally change that government from outside of the system.
Portion of your state says, we do not agree. You can't just force them to live the way you want. Tyranny of the majority is...
Mike Mack says, newsflash, we already vote the people that we want. Yeah, it's weird how that works.
Not the way this country is supposed to be run. Now, Idaho would probably say yes, but I don't think Oregon would want to give up their serfs. You know, they may be low-income Trump voters, but their votes are meaningless compared to the cities, and they get money from them. So why give it up?
Why would they be getting money from them? You just said they're low-income. If anything, they're probably getting money back. One Speedy Yoshi says, let's push Idaho into the ocean. Just let my family relocate to the White House and kick Biden out. I'm the new president. Free pizza for everyone, not right wing. Sweet.
You don't got to give them anything. I mean, think of it this way. Oregon knows they give you nothing, but they know you give them something, and you will never disrupt their power. So why bother giving you any rights? You see the problem with tyranny?
What rights are rural people in this state? What rights are they being denied, Tim? Can you be specific and not use rights as a buzzword? That'd be great.
If we were truly a free country, they should be able to vote and move like that.
We already talked about this, Tim. That was covered in the first Civil War. Probably try and catch up.
Of course, the U.S. government's probably going to say no because the Democrats want as much power as they can get and they won't allow it. I don't think this is a country of the elites telling you what you can or can't do. I think...
Tim, just to be clear, so we should allow Puerto Rico in as a state then, right? Because they voted to be included as a state? And so did Washington, D.C. So we should let those people be included as states, right? Because they voted for that? I'm just trying to make sure you're internally consistent here.
These counties should be able to say outright, we've chosen this, have a nice day. Of course, it is extremely unlikely that anyone would just let this happen. You think the British Crown wanted to just let the U.S. be independent? Of course they didn't. They showed up with guns. So these people, I'm sorry, voting just ain't going to be the way forward. Now,
getting real close to advocating for violence, Tim.
The Idaho Statesman covered this back in February of 2020. They say, secede to Idaho. Here's why disgruntled Oregon residents are hoping to do just that. Well, you pretty much get the point. But let me show you this. Second Amendment sanctuaries facing first court test in Oregon. You see, people in rural areas, they want guns. They want constitutional carry. They don't want to abide by federal laws. The AP reports the first test of whether local governments can ban police from enforcing certain gun laws is playing out in a rural Oregon county, one of a wave of U.S. counties declaring itself a Second Amendment sanctuary. The measure that voters in the logging area of Columbia County narrowly approved last year forbids local officials from enforcing most federal and state gun laws.
Yeah, that's illegal. That's illegal. The Supremacy Clause pretty explicitly says you can't do that. The federal law takes supremacy over your local law. That's not a complicated legal concept. Speedy Yoshi says, I'm surprised Right-Wing Cope didn't cover this. Tons of right-wingers are upset about this, and it's a Lego thing. What is this? It's like a Pride Lego thing or something? Okay. Right-wingers are pissed off. I'm shocked, I tell you. I'm shocked.
And could impose thousands of dollars in fines on those who try. Isn't it kind of funny that you have to do that because the cops would just violate your rights anyway? Threaten the cops with fines? Second Amendment sanctuary resolutions have been adopted by...
It's almost like they're supposed to follow federal law. Nick says, looks like a Lego version of the temperature chart on a weather map. A little bit.
Some 1,200 local governments in states around the U.S., including Virginia, Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, Illinois, Florida, according to Sean Fields, an assistant professor of law at Campbell University who tracks them. Many are symbolic, but some, like in Columbia County, carry legal force. After President Joe Biden took office, conservative lawmakers in several states proposed banning police from enforcing federal gun measures. And at least one proposal in Arizona has been signed into law.
Again, that's going to get shot down in court, in federal court. The federal government is not going to allow you to tell your cops to stop enforcing federal law. That's not how it works.
Now, I don't want to read too much into this because it's not a gun control argument. The point is, in rural Oregon, they want the right to keep and bear arms. In Idaho, they want the same thing. In this story from KTVB7, can Idaho cities and counties legally declare themselves to be Second Amendment sanctuaries?
No, would be my guess.
There are over a dozen Second Amendment sanctuary cities in Idaho, but an Oregon county's declaration poses questions about if state law can supersede federal law.
It cannot. It's explicit. It is explicit in the Supremacy Clause.
So, of course, right now, they're talking about Oregon. But many in Idaho, they say the city of Star declared itself a Second Amendment sanctuary in July 2020, followed by Eagle in September 2020, and Cascade and St. Anthony in October 2020. Nampa added its name to the list at the end of the year, and Kuna and Hagerman began 2021. with the same declarations. There are currently more than a dozen Second Amendment sanctuary cities and counties in Idaho. The Second Amendment sanctuary movement gained momentum in 2018 when the threat of stricter gun laws was being considered in the wake of several mass shootings across the country. Last fall, about 400 locations in 20 states consider themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries. In 2021, there are about 1,200. I highlight this just to show that Idaho aligns with rural Oregon more than Oregon aligns with itself.
Okay? It doesn't matter. They're separate states, Tim. How we can pull a 30-minute video out of this shit as if it's anything serious, it just frustrates me that people fall for this crap.
Portland is a disaster area. Federal attorneys...
Is he going for the "it's burned to the ground" thing?
...are dropping the charges on violent rioters. Why would anyone want to be a part of that? Now, of course, there are many other states that have similar problems. And many of these red counties in these blue states aren't passing measures like this, but maybe they should. Maybe they should. Illinois, for instance. Is it a blue state? No. It's got a blue city, and it's a massively red state.
Okay, but if there's more people living in the city part, then the state is blue because the state is a political entity determined by the constituents there. So if the majority lives in the city, then the city is the determination or the determiner of whether or not it is a blue or a red state. Do you see how that works, Tim? Because political entities are defined by the people within them, not some arbitrary landmass area that people happen to live in.
See, the blue cities are the most populated. So you can argue it is a blue state, but everybody just lives in one dense area.
Yes. Yup. That's how people live. Hydrate.
When you look at the United States, there are no fully blue states.
There are no fully blue states. It's just that the majority of people live in the blue areas. Yeah, you're putting the cart before the horse. Yep. There are no purely red or blue counties, because even if you have a county that was 99% Republican, you could have one hippie somewhere in there that votes Democrat. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Tim. Land doesn't vote.
There are blue cities that are extremely dense. Yes, I understand there's lots of people in those cities.
The majority of people.
But they don't understand how people in rural areas live.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Live in a real place.
And they don't care for the rights of people in rural areas.
My rights that I want to carry an automatic weapon into a post office. Why can't I do that?
You've got to be a special kind of daft.
Overthought with 25 bits says, but all those people in the red areas are people of the land. You know, morons.
To be living in Chicago in a massively dense area saying, we can't have guns, there's too many people. Ah, yes, and people in rural West Virginia also shouldn't be allowed to have guns. Think outside of your own existence. Have some empathy for once. A dude who lives in the mountains with...
Because when I think right-wingers, my first thought is empathy. They're big on that.
Feral hogs running around probably wants to defend himself.
The feral hogs argument. There it is.
More importantly, the Constitution isn't about hunting. So people have a right to keep and bear arms. And just because you live in a city and you're scared doesn't mean you get to take away the rights of other people. But here we go.
Okay, so just because you live in the country and have never met a trans person doesn't mean your fear gets to take away trans people's rights to play sports or use bathrooms. Glad we're on the same page.
It's basically what's been happening. Check out this out of Michigan. This one's funny. They say, the co-chair of the Michigan Republican Party, Marshawn Maddock, raised some eyebrows recently after suggesting that Michigan should secede from the Union to get away from Governor Gretchen Whitmer. I think this one's a bit more tongue-in-cheek because it makes literally no sense. She's the governor of Michigan. If Michigan seceded, she's still the governor of Michigan. Maybe some counties could secede. Maddock announced her intentions in a Facebook post with an attached photo showing her meeting with Brexit leader Nigel Farage. In the post, Maddock called the proposed secession as my exit saying that Americans tried it once before, referring to the Civil War. Michigan Democratic Party Chair Lavora Barnes called the statements unhinged, saying they embolden extremists like the one who attacked the Capitol and planned to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer.
If I say things in a silly voice, it automatically makes those things untrue. Sky Comet Fallen with 100 bits says, I'm the local hippie in the Red Ohio district. Oh, those people trying to kill Congress members on the 6th of January. I'm not debunking anything that's being said, but I'm saying it like this, which means you shouldn't take it seriously.
Michigan Republican.
Oh, he made a fart noise, too. That really punctuates it. We need to have a punctuation mark for a fart noise at the end of a sentence.
Republicans aren't the only ones calling for secession.
Poop emoji. Poop emoji now means fart noise.
Texas State Representative Kyle Biderman floated a Texit bill, but the plan died without a hearing. Well, here we go, baby. They're trying to bring it back. Let me just stress again. Seceding from the union to get away from your own governor makes little to no sense. So that one was maybe a joke. Maybe the media shouldn't look too hard into that. But over at Dallas News, they say, the Texas Nationalist Movement, President Daniel Miller called on Governor Greg Abbott on Tuesday to include in a special session a proposal to let Texans vote on whether the state should leave the United States and become an independent republic.
Aspen6 says, I'm trans and queer, but you can't take my guns. If people here hate me and want to kill me, they're the only real safety I would have. I'm not against guns necessarily. I'm fine if people own guns responsibly.
The news conference by supporters included Republican Reps Kyle Biderman.
What creeps me out is like the gun fetishists, right? Having a gun is a practical safety measure, especially if you're like someone who's vulnerable to attack, let's say. Yeah, I totally understand that. I'm not against that. But the people who are like, I own 50 guns and I just love guns and I got guns on everything and I always tell everyone I have guns, that stuff is off-putting.
Of Fredericksburg, who filed the bill for what is known as Texit. Jeff Kaysen of Bedford and Brian Slayton of Roy's City. Kaysen and Slanton are co-authors. The bill failed to receive a hearing in the House Committee on State Affairs and appears dead unless...
Not to mention just sort of the game theory... How do I put this? The right in this country has a lot of guns. I think it's a bad strategy to have the left in this country not have guns.
Unless it is tacked on to another proposal. In response, the Texas Nationalist Movement, a group that has pushed for over a decade for a vote on Texas becoming an independent nation, and its supporters held the presser to kick off 15-plus hours of virtual testimony, according to Miller. I'll just say this. As many people keep moving to Texas for a variety of reasons, how hilarious would it be if every single disaffected liberal, moderate, and conservative moved to Texas, and then once they were actually residents, what if all of these people voted for secession? It would be really funny, wouldn't it? Yeah, probably.
No, I don't consider sparking a second civil war to be funny. Surprise.
It would never happen, though. I mean, maybe that's a bit pessimistic. Of course, we've seen stranger things. They say Chairman Patty R. of Marshall has ignored the pleas of Texans who have done all but begged for this bill to be heard. He has not scheduled it for a hearing, effectively killing it this session. The only reason to not give this legislation a public hearing is to perpetuate the lie that Texas supporters are old, white, and uneducated.
There is no constitutional way to leave the country. It would be a waste of everyone's time. Oops, didn't mean to do that.
Added Miller. In short, the political establishment doesn't want the world to see the true face of Texas. I agree. The elites will never just hand you your rights. It's never going to be the case. You'll learn it from the leftists, from Black Lives Matter and Antifa. They will tell you. They're never just going to let you do what you want.
Wait, so now he understands the need for physical action in regard to asking for rights? Interesting. MWade19, thanks for subscribing for 2 months.
Voting is not going to get you there. Now, societal enforcement actually might, and it'll take time. So what I should say is, in the immediate, these votes probably won't do anything. Over time, sustained pressure probably will. That's why I say it can happen here. I'm not trying to be overly pessimistic saying there's nothing you can do. What I'm trying to say is voting isn't it. You know what is? I don't know, strikes, going on strike, protests. Obviously, the left has shown that these things work. If you don't get active, no one takes you seriously. Asked why Patty didn't give the bill a hearing, Biderman pointed to the numerous hot-button issues being addressed this session and blamed the media and other lawmakers for labeling it a secession bill. Biderman said this is not a bill for secession, but rather is meant to bring about a dialogue.
About secession? Flagship Pyro, thanks for subscribing for 3 months with Prime.
Kaysen called the proposal a starting point and echoed Biderman's sentiment, saying, being allowed to have a dialogue about
why can't Texas leave if the state voted to leave? Asks a Canadian. The Civil War, it was basically determined during the first Civil War by the Supreme Court and by the federal government as a whole that you cannot unilaterally as a state decide to leave the Union. That's not how it works.
This referendum doesn't mean we're leaving the Union. Kaysen added, we shouldn't be afraid to start this dialogue. When asked directly if he personally favors secession, Biderman said he favors the discussion and giving a vote to the people in order to give the state the leverage so that we can bring our country back to what it should be through our Constitution. Biderman filed the bill in January, weeks after he was spotted with pro-Trump crowd during the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. Now, I don't know if he was actually in the Capitol. The media loves to obfuscate and confuse because there was a rally and there was a riot, all right? Biderman told Dallas-Fort Worth talk radio host Chris Salcido on January 7th, one day after the insurrection, that if
Yes, it was.
Few radicals cause
Sky Comet Fallen, thanks for gifting a sub. Ooh, we're on a hype train now, too.
Trouble. Blah, blah, blah. We get it. They say the bill has received pushback from both sides of the aisle. In January, Rep. Jeff Leach, R. Plano, called it anti-American and a waste of time. Pretty sure it's very, very, very pro-American to say, if the government doesn't represent us, we want a redress of grievances. Yeah, what they're denying it is more British than anything.
Anytime anyone wants to leave for any reason, even if it's a stupid reason, that's American. I guess that does track, consider... Let's not... you know what? I'm not getting into that today. Never mind. Jade15 with 100 bits, thank you.
They say last month.
I'm not getting into Revolutionary War shit. Hey, colonists, we need to raise your taxes because of the war that we just fought to protect the colonies. Is that okay? No! We want protection, but no taxes! Whoa, okay, guys. Oh, all right. Can we talk about this? No! Tea goes in harbor! D-Zug, thank you for gifting a sub.
Senator Louis Kolkhorst said people's voices need to be heard and that this would not be a discussion if states' rights weren't being stripped away. My gosh, we're having to have this discussion, and that's what should scare us.
Citosaurus with 150 bits says, looking good with your hair up, only able to catch the tail end of the stream, but I'll start it over from the top when it's done. Well, thank you.
That we really have to have this discussion. She's right, is it? Lois, sorry.
Hydrate.
Lois. Her spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment on whether she would support the bill or vote for Texas to secede. They're jumping the gun. They apparently, it's not a secession bill. It's to like open up a debate on secession or something like that. So now,
so it's a secession bill. Clava Faustina says your hair looks really great up. If you like it, you should do it more often. When it's warm out, probably.
Why would people be so adamant? The next story I'm going to show you, probably going to shock you. I don't want to lead with it because it's more of the same, but it'll show you exactly why many people are fed up with the federal government. I give you, from the Daily Mail, video shows Biden administration secretly flying migrant children into Tennessee, while Republican rep urges Congress to pull Kamala's travel funds until she visits the border. Tennessee lawmakers are accusing President Joe Biden's administration of secretly flying migrant children into their state without consulting them. Several videos obtained by WRCB TV Channel 3 show a handful of planes carrying minor migrants arriving at Chattanooga's Wilson Air Center during overnight hours. Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn said in a statement that the transportation of migrants there is taking place in the dead of night.
I tend to not trust Daily Mail very much.
Without the knowledge or permission of the communities involved.
But even if they were doing this, I don't know if the federal government needs to alert local authorities that they're moving people in one federal facility to a different federal facility. I don't know. Sky Comet Fallen says, let them go. They'll take Ted Cruz with them.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Daily Mail is a tabloid. Yeah.
The Biden administration and the federal government are subverting your rights to self-determination and are not representing you. This is insane. The crisis is so bad.
I don't want brown people in my state, so I'm going to secede. Why do they keep calling people on the right racist? Gee, I wonder why.
The border. That Joe Biden is bringing these migrants in secret to states that don't know about it because they cannot deal with the problem.
Thanks for gifting a sub.
To put it mildly, they're taking the people of Tennessee and they're shuffling the problem under your rug. So it's no surprise.
I would imagine based on the bad conditions of the facilities I saw, I imagine the facilities that were holding minor immigrants at probably were overflowing, as they already were from the footage we saw a couple months ago. So they're probably starting to move them to different areas around the country so as to have more room. I don't see an issue with that. Excessive Observer with 100 bits. Don't get me wrong, the way that they're getting treated is probably poor, and I'd probably disagree with that. But just the idea of moving them to a different facility, I don't have an issue with that.
Prize.
Now, in fairness, ideally, I think they should be with their parents, and I think those parents and those kids should be given citizenship, but that's a discussion for another day.
People are starting to get really, really angry. You can't do this to people, but they're doing it. A source with direct knowledge of the operation revealed somewhere up to 50 minors are transported at a time, some to reunite with family members in other states and others to be relocated to group homes.
Okay, neither of those things is nefarious. Those are both fine things. One Speedy Yoshi says, did they say any of this when Trump was in power? Quote, just secede? They throw a shit fit. I wish there was a way to awake these people and have like self-awareness or even just guilt for 10 minutes. That's all I ask, 10 minutes. Like his argument here is literally just, I don't want more brown people in my state. I'm gonna secede. That's the argument that he's making. It's fucking gross.
The individual revealed that while the operation started in Dallas, it moved to small airports recently to avoid attention. CBP encountered 178,000 migrants in April, a 90% increase from April 2020, and a slight uptick from the March 2020 record-setting numbers. Here we go, baby. This is the kind of stuff that results in armed insurrection.
If you keep bringing non-white people into my state, I'm gonna start killing people. I'm not a racist, though. Stop calling us all racist, you fucking pricks.
The subversion of local government and communities by the federal government. These people are not citizens. They're
human beings. I don't give a shit.
Bussed in, flown in. Now, I don't want these kids to suffer.
I think you do. It sounds like you do. At minimum, it sounds like you're indifferent to their suffering if it means that they have to be within the same state as you. And in which case, go fuck yourself, Tim. Ender92 says, you can't do this to people. He isn't talking about prying children from their parents and putting them in cages. He's talking about those poor white people who have to deal with refugees. Unfucking believable. Yeah, he's sick.
But can we really just have this massive influx at a time when our economy is on fire? It sounds to me like Joe Biden and the Democrats are trying to burn this country to the ground.
How the fuck does this guy still have a YouTube channel with this kind of inflammatory bullshit? This is like textbook calling fire in a crowded theater. OMG, they're bringing brown people into my state. We better do an armed insurrection. Like, this is straight up calling for violence over banal governmental function.
They're extending the unemployment benefits at a time when people aren't working. They're talking about...
I guess businesses should probably pay their employees reasonably then, huh?
Expanding tax credits to people. Once again, flooding the zone with more money. I know it's a tax credit, not a stimulus, but it will still result in more people saying, I've got a bunch of money and don't need to work.
That's usually how I think. I need to not work because I have a potential tax credit next year.
Employment being the principal problem. And now they're bringing in migrant after migrant.
Children. Even if they weren't children, I wouldn't really care.
He's already busted, man. What are you doing? You want to flood the market with more supply of workers?
They're human beings, Tim. They're not a fucking supply. They're human beings.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this.
And you already talked about them being children. Unless child labor laws have changed recently, Tim. Shut up.
Maybe it makes some amount of sense. At least these new workers want to work. But what happens when they're given benefits and they're not working? Now the whole thing is just on fire. I want to show you this article from the Washington Post. Why Republican opposition to a January 6th commission could be a blessing in disguise, from Max Boot. This should show you that there is no reconciliation. I'm sorry. I'd like to think there is, but it feels like there really isn't.
I guess you guys shouldn't have done an insurrection attempt then, huh? Daddy Sume says, hey Hannah, I reserve the right to resubmit Tiny Tank for Captain Cringe. Maybe. I don't know if I'll watch it.
The worldview of the left is so at odds with the worldview of the right that
yeah, ours is in line with reality, at least more so, and yours is in QAnon fantasy bullshit land where you think it's worthwhile to spend 30 minutes talking about seceding from the Union like we already haven't had this discussion over 100 years ago. One Speedy Yoshi says, Max Boot? What an ironic last name, licking the boots of insurrectionists.
There is no mending this divide. Of course, the right is closer to reality.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The left will tell you that's not true. They're closer to reality. But you take a look at the country on fire and how they're all cheering for
this country's on fire. This country's on fire.
Biden, and you have to wonder how these people...
Guys, did you hear? Brown people are in the country and they're making a Captain Marvel 2. The country is literally on fire right now.
People are insane. They said the same thing about Trump. And so what's important is, first and foremost, you may be right, your politics may be correct, but does it really matter? The other side is diametrically opposed to what you believe and what you see. And there's no arguing with them. They'll never believe you. And if you're
maybe be convincing or believe things that are real, that would probably help.
Leftist listening to me talk saying Tim's crazy for believing these things.
Correct. Ender92 says, I thought this was a different issue than abortion, but it's literally the same. These people want to fund worldwide wars, and then when refugees from those wars war-torn countries come knocking, they want nothing to do with it. Yeah, they just want to hurt other people. It's fucked up.
Trump is crazy. Well then, you and I completely disagree, and it's untenable, isn't it? So why don't you go become the United States of Canada, and the rest of the country can become Jesus land, and there's your peaceful divorce.
You know what, Tim? I'll give you this. Go and move to the south, and then we'll cut it off at the Mason-Dixon line. We'll be done. That sounds good. I'll get health care, and you can get, I don't know, you'll probably die in Texas the next time that it snows.
As so the meme says. This is where we're at. The Washington Post, Max Boot writes, another week, another milestone in the GOP's transformation into an authoritarian party. An American version of Poland's Law and Justice, Hungary's Fidesz, or Turkey's Justice and Department.
Nick says, which party is excommunicating members for being bipartisan again, Dimpool?
Max Boot is a lunatic. For over a year, cities were being destroyed. Buildings were being burnt to the ground.
Portland is literally a smoking ash heap.
For a decade, I've witnessed these protests escalate, and not once have people like him come out and called for a commission to stop it.
Yeah, because there's a difference between people going out and speaking up for the rights of people not to be hurt or killed by the police, and people trying to overthrow democracy because they don't like who won an election. Context matters.
Because he is not well. These people live in a paranoid bubble universe, just like the QAnon people.
Which side of the political spectrum are the QAnon people in again, Tim? The
problem? They have institutional power, and they use it for psychotic reasons. Donald Trump was far from perfect and far from stable. Stable enough, but Ron DeSantis, I think, is a bit better. Still, many people understood that he represented a Molotov cocktail being thrown into a system of psychotic, duplicitous elites.
Imagine thinking Donald Trump is not a moronic, duplicitous elite. Think about that worldview for 5 seconds and try not to peel your skin off.
for stripping away the value, the value from the working class, the wealth from the working class, and then exploiting the system and watching it burn to the ground. A system that we cannot maintain. We cannot keep living this way. And still, people like Max Boot, he's probably never done any original research.
What would it take for YouTube to put a rule against scaremongering? That's too broad. It would have to be more specific.
Otherwise, you would know.
I would borderline find his videos to be incitement, though, based on the totality of the message here and the multiple times in the video that he's like, voting isn't enough. You gotta go do stuff. Like,
The media's been lying the whole time. Why? I've watched the source material. The Covington kids is a perfect example. Some kid minding his own business on the stair someone gets in his face, and people at the Washington Post demonized those kids. And he calls the GOP authoritarian. The GOP can't do anything. They're pathetic. Donald Trump didn't even send in the troops like Tom Cotton asked for, because the GOP is far from authoritarian. Here we go. They say last week it was the ouster of Liz Cheney. Who cares about Liz Cheney? She's a warmonger. Dick Cheney, her dad.
Tim Pool spends all his time talking about how cool a civil war would be, but now all of a sudden he's going to criticize, rightfully to an extent, a Cheney for being a warmonger, but the irony here, you can't really criticize a warmonger when you are advocating for a war and not even one you would necessarily profit off of, so it's even stupider.
Warmonger. Oh, but it's the other Republicans saying get out, or the authoritarians.
Oh, wait, Tim, are they removing her for being a warmonger, or are they removing her for rightfully pointing out incitement of a insurrection attempt by the president? Because if she was thrown out for being a warmonger, I'd be like, hey, good job, GOP. But that's not the part they disagree about, is it, Tim? That's not why she got in trouble.
They go on to mention the stated reasons for the GOP opposition to the 1-6 Commission are incoherent and implausible. This will play well on...
Oh, I made a fart noise. That means you got him. You got him, Tim. Debunked.
Fox News, but what the right says these days, it simply isn't so. The bill is to establish a commission, negotiate in good faith. These people are authoritarian lunatics.
Is Tim Pool somehow... You know how, like, Nick Fuentes is in trouble and they're investigating him getting, like, tens of thousands of dollars in Bitcoin sent to him right before the January 6th thing? And they're thinking that maybe there was some money source that was helping get people there. Is Tim Pool involved in this or some shit? Because even as, like, a right-wing grifter, this seems like a weirdly emotionally based reaction to a commission to investigate it. He's like, this is authoritarian. This is ridiculous. Like, did Tim Pool get a bunch of Bitcoin to try and stoke fire? And, like, were they like, here's $10,000 in Bitcoin, Tim. Tell people that civil war is good on your YouTube channel.
Fortunately for them, they have morons marching in lockstep behind them. Antifa activists and hackers who once challenged the federal government now celebrating the FBI and law enforcement going after people like Rudy Giuliani.
It's almost like people don't like when authority hurts innocent people, but do like when justice is served. I'm
not a big fan of Rudy Giuliani either, because he's part of the establishment too. But the system eating itself, okay, sure, fine. But these people genuinely cheering for the FBI. The greatest de-radicalization in history.
It's like when Godzilla fights Mothra, right? No, Mothra tends to be good. It's like when Godzilla fights King Ghidorah. I don't like that Godzilla is destroying buildings. I don't necessarily like Godzilla, but King Ghidorah's worse. So it's fun to watch them fight each other.
Leftists supporting the federal government. That's amazing, isn't it? And that's what people like Max Boot and the establishment have. They're authoritarians. They plant evidence. They're crooked. They're corrupt. They want to...
Damn them, planting evidence of ridiculous amounts of video footage of right-wing Trump supporters and QAnoners attacking the police and storming the Capitol building to murder Congress members. How did they plant that evidence? I saw it live.
Watch cities suffer, and they get what they want. And the left, supposedly anti-fascist, siding with the political establishment and their allies, massive multinational billion-dollar corporations. That sounds more like fascism than anything to me. Oh, I'm sorry. They're progressives, though. Fascists have to be traditionalists.
Fascists typically, yes, one of the key aspects of fascism tends to be an obsession with this idealized version of the past, yes.
Donald Trump is just chaos.
Tends to be. It is not always the case. There's like a checklist. Look up fascism, or they're brief ones that you can just find online.
He was just a Molotov cocktail thrown into the system, and it was better than what we get now. So where do we go from here? Perhaps if we sit back and do nothing, chaos ensues and everything falls apart. Perhaps the people of the Greater Idaho movement are doing everything in their power to prevent that by saying, we don't want to leave the United States. We just want to have better representation so people can live the way they want to. But what would really happen from this? The states would become redder and bluer, and then eventually it would just break apart, and that feels like we are on track for everything breaking apart. If it happens peacefully, it's a good thing. But I'm entirely convinced it will, because people want stuff. They want stuff.
If Tim genuinely believed for even a second that the United States could break apart into different nations without it being contentious in terms of fighting for areas and resources, he's even stupider than I already thought he was, and it was a low, low bar.
People in big cities want your labor to support them.
No, you stupid asshole.
They get food from you.
And you get everything else from them. It's almost like we live in a society. Nick says, people want stuff. You mean how Trumpers want their god emperor in office without having the votes? As we all know, every right-winger is a farmer. Clearly.
And then they say, oh, but the government subsidizes the farmers. Sure. Subsidized by the labor of what? People writing junk articles and listicles for BuzzFeed?
Yes, because those industries actually make money, unlike American agriculture sectors that aren't propped up by... I grow corn for corn syrup. I make the stuff for the Aunt Jemima. It's like maple syrup, but way worse because it's just flavored corn syrup. It's an honest living.
Yes. These big cities are insane. I know there's more in the cities than just writing for BuzzFeed. But
really? Because it seems like that's the only thing you've mentioned. It's where the economy exists.
A lot of it is just unnecessary, and it's destructive.
The majority of the economic centers of the United States are unnecessary, according to Tim Pool. Does he want, like, a Jeffersonian agricultural country with no industrial centers whatsoever? Because we have a word for that. They're called developing nations, and you don't normally want to live in them.
The costs are too high, and for some reason they're the ones deserving of more money than you, living out in the country.
Again, city areas pay more into the tax system than red areas proportionally. Same with states.
Actually taking care of the environment and farming. The people in the city who are burning the system to the ground, the Democrats, they're the ones who are the good guys. The bourgeois, highest...
He's using the term bourgeois. Good job, comrade.
Salary earners in the country want the working class to pay their debts off, demanding that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren forgive $50,000 of student loan debt, which means...
That would be cool.
It is a hidden tax on the working class.
No one in the working class went to college?
These people aren't working class. They're the bourgeoisie, highest income earners in the...
Bourgeoisie!
country with their college degrees. And they
no Republicans have college degrees, okay? Obviously.
Want you to pay their bills for them. Yeah, that's how you end up with workers actually revolting and uniting and calling for your institutions to be shut down.
Shut down colleges because you're providing people education for free.
It's funny. Think about these woke leftists demanding socialism. What industry do they represent? Steel mills? Huh?
Again, there are 3 industries: farming, steel mills, and BuzzFeed listicles. These are the 3 things that exist in the United States. One Speedy Yoshi says, don't tell Tim about libraries. What good would it do him? He'd have to know how to read.
Quarries?
Oh, there's another one. Quarries. Jobs are when I smash things with other things and then take those things and take them places. That's a job.
Labor? Like general plumbing and trades?
There are no plumbers or electricians in cities. Just like there are no toilets or electricity.
No. They represent unemployment from getting a feminist dance degree.
Feminist dance degree? You know, all those skyscrapers in New York City that are empty buildings where people with degrees in feminist dance do nothing but take up office space. There's not actual work going on there or anything. Don't worry about it. It's all just people with women's studies degrees. Crizia says union jobs have strong historical roots in socialism. Yeah.
You keep taking, you get more of this. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.
Jesus Christ, that was weak even for Tim. That's dreadful. I think he's really running low on content in the absence of Trump. I don't know. Pretty bad. Let's do a quick cleanse, and then we'll call it an evening, because we've been going for over 3 hours. Today's just flying by. Sky Comet Fallen says, I guess he thinks rural people don't need banks or restaurants or lawyers or sports or art or public transportation. Yeah.
Well, hey there, folks, and welcome back, I guess. I know what you're thinking. One McGriddle, well, that's enough to send me to the bathroom, enough as it is. 2 McGriddles, you're gonna spend the whole day there.
My YouTube recommendations are forever tainted. They really are.
I love you.
Felix Night Owl says, all the love your way, Hannah. Have a great night. You too.
McGriddles? To me, the
I've never had a McGriddle.
McGriddle is the ultimate breakfast sandwich. You got your pancake, that's also the bun, perfectly folded eggs, bacon and cheese. You know where the other bun is. The last time I ate 2 of these in a row, I couldn't get off the toilet. All right, so it's the McGriddle sausage. Shove it right on down. It looks pretty well mixed together, but I think I'm gonna regrind it anyway. The Wells Fargo sausage is coming down the street. Mrs. Sausage says that I have irritable bowel syndrome. All right.
Thrash Mio says, also, I guess server hosting like YouTube as an industry doesn't exist either.
In 3,
Computers aren't real.
2, 1, let's sausage. Oh, this is a feisty one. She's not giving up her dad that easily. Come on, Betsy. You and me have been through a lot these past.
How many Mark Ruffalo's? 3.
Year and a half. I know you got more.
Wait, did he already do that part? Did I miss it?
In you. She does not have more in her. Years of experience.
No. I'm gonna say maybe a 1. It's gonna be too thick because of the bun.
Are telling me that this thing's not gonna blow.
No, Sausage Guy isn't against Twitch TOS. There's like specific videos by him that I don't, because like he did a brain sausage. I think it was like a cow brain, and I thought that was a little gory. But no, this is fine.
No, there's no chance. Oh, you know.
Oh, 0.
Will it push? Do-do-do-do-do-do. It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better with life. With Mentos freshmen fall on line. Well, so yeah, that's
Mrs. Sausage, there are too many jokes you can make, I guess.
So, here we go. This other time, I was in the Wendy's bathroom after eating at McDonald's.
Can you please stop talking about your bowels?
Every day, my mother would inquire about my father's
I'm
bowels.
not your mom.
It's another sausage with no bursting. I'm feeling that sausage confidence again. It looks pretty plain Jane, but it's how it tastes, not how it looks. We'll put this in the bun and then we'll give it a shot as we normally do, and that'll be that. But first, we got some fan mail to open, and a lit sausage opened up.
I'm skipping the fan mail section.
So, here we go. That is a swell sausage right there. There's nothing bad about that. A fantastic sear, a good crunch, a delicious taste. It's not falling out of the casing mushy. I'm gonna have to give this McGriddle sausage here a 5 out of 5.
Bop, 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 bop. I'm surprised it was that high. Alright, who can we raid? Charity stream. I try and do the charity streams when I can. Let's do the charity stream.
Also, taking Arabic classes is terrible.
I know, I
because
gotta
you
do
have half the
Xandris again soon. But let's do the charity one, and then I'll do Xandris soon. Alright, thank you, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful stream with me. I have electrolysis tomorrow, but I still want to try and stream just because I'm behind this month in terms of a bunch of stuff. So I'd like to do it tomorrow, but I guess we'll see. So it'll either be tomorrow or Saturday. Remember, I think the 23rd we're going to be doing a special stream. Yeah, the 23rd is going to be sort of a Twitch anniversary stream for me, because I've been doing this for a year. So join me that day for some fun stuff. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Now we just gotta wait for this countdown. I didn't do it at the right time, so I can't be natural about where I throw in the, whatever. Alright, have a good night, everyone. See you guys later.